Chapter 841. He really didn't know if he didn't compare, but when he did, he was shocked. The difference was so big that it made his heart tremble. A drop of blood was as big as a pond. It was really exaggerated. He had thought of consuming the blood of the true dragon's heart, but now that he saw the compressed golden blood that filled a large wooden barrel, he realized how stupid his original idea was. He probably wouldn't be able to drink it all even if he exploded. Moreover, the blood of the true dragon was so domineering. If he consumed it directly, it would probably cause great harm to his body. It seems that I can only soak it slowly and absorb the essence of the bloodline. This will take a long time. I'm afraid I won't be able to come out of seclusion for 10 days to half a month. It will take at least 3 or 4 months. I have to go out and inform Donier first so that she won't be anxious. Lu Yuan thought to himself. Then, he turned around and went out. He told BB Don about the news. After settling down, he returned to the room again. Looking at the resplendent and sacred golden blood, Lu Yuan's eyes lit up. Next, it was time for him to be reborn. He took off his clothes, revealing his flawless jade-like skin. Lu Yuan flipped slightly and directly entered the wooden barrel. As soon as he stepped into the wooden barrel, the golden blood, which was already resplendent, immediately surged. Small golden dragons directly collided with Lu Yuan's body, then turned into pure energy and directly entered Lu Yuan's body. And Lu Yuan couldn't help but groan and frown. What a domineering bloodline. I've already removed the immortal king's divine power. It's just the bloodline, but it's still so domineering. Even with my physique, I can't resist it. With a thought, Lu Yuan began to quickly circulate the clear chi scripture. The golden dragon armor was also put on his body. At the same time, the golden dragon bloodline began to circulate. Plop! Lu Yuan directly sat down in the wooden barrel. The golden blood covered his entire body, and only his head was still exposed. The true dragon's blood, which was extremely powerful and tyrannical, gushed madly into Lu Yuan's body, entering his limbs and bones, and then surging into the depths of his blood vessels. This process was extremely painful because Lu Yuan had the bloodline of the golden dragon. When the two bloodlines clashed, there was bound to be a battle. However, the true dragon bloodline was too strong, so it must have been Lu Yuan's golden dragon bloodline that was suppressed. In the end, the true dragon bloodline must have been the main force, fusing with the purest parts of the golden dragon bloodline to form a new bloodline that would be Lu Yuan's evolved bloodline. As a result, one could imagine the pain Lu Yuan was experiencing. This could already be understood as a complete blood exchange. Absorbing the true dragon bloodline and getting rid of the impurities in the original bloodline, this kind of pain was probably not much worse than death by 1,000 cuts. And the worst part was that Lu Yuan had to remain clear-headed, because only then could he ensure that the evolution of his bloodline could reach a perfect level. Otherwise, the impurities in the original bloodline might not be completely eliminated, and a new true dragon bloodline would not be able to fully exert its effects. This would undoubtedly be a huge waste. This was an extremely rare opportunity, so Lu Yuan obviously wanted to achieve the most perfect result. As a result, he could not avoid the pain that he needed to experience. It really fucking hurts. I've cultivated for so many years, and I've experienced a lot of pain. This is still the most intense. Lu Yuan gritted his teeth tightly, his voice bursting out from the gaps between his teeth. His brows were tightly furrowed, and beads of sweat covered his forehead. Even though the pain was extremely intense, he still did not make a single sound. His powerful spiritual power gave him the ability to endure immense pain. Even being skinned and torn apart would not be able to compare to the pain that he was currently experiencing. The clear air divine seed emitted a white light, protecting Lu Yuan's sea of consciousness. Even though he was experiencing immense pain, his sea of consciousness was still calm. As long as his sea of consciousness did not collapse, then no matter how intense the pain was, it would not be a threat to Lu Yuan. Let the pain come even more fiercely. Gritting his teeth, Lu Yuan channeled the soul power of the clear air scripture and quickly absorbed the true dragon bloodline around him. Immediately, Small golden dragons roared into the sky and then crashed into Lu Yuan's body, entering the depths of his bloodline. Lu Yuan was like a bottomless pit, crazily devouring the bloodline around him. With Lu Yuan as the center, the true dragon bloodline in the wooden bucket formed a small whirlpool and crazily surged towards him. Great Stardow Forest, bottom of the Lake of Life. Gu Yuna, who had been sitting cross-legged, suddenly opened her eyes. Her purple pupils emitted a mysterious light. Why is Obuchi's bloodline fluctuating so violently? Has the evolution begun? Gu Yuna frowned slightly. Through the reverse scale, she could constantly sense Lu Yuan's state. Obuchi is not in any danger, but he seems to be in a lot of pain. Evolution should not be like this. Also, what's with that terrifying energy fluctuation? That aura is boundless and ancient, and even more so, it makes me feel a little apprehensive. Gu Yuna murmured softly. She was a little worried. She gently raised her jade-like hand and was about to tear open the space. But then, she immediately put down her hand. No, the evolution of the bloodline is very important. It cannot be disturbed at all. Obuchi is in a critical period now. If my arrival frightens him, the consequences will be unimaginable. Gu Yuna said softly. Since his life is not in danger, then let's wait for Obuchi to finish his evolution before going to take a look. That heartless guy, why didn't he come to me for something as important as a bloodline evolution? Wouldn't it be safer with me protecting you? A hint of resentment appeared in Gu Yuna's eyes, but more than that, she was concerned. You have to evolve smoothly. When you evolve, it's time to give this to you. Gu Yuna murmured. She waved her hand slightly, and a dazzling bead shimmering with golden light appeared in her hand. Let be a boost to your 7th soul ring, Gu Yuna said softly. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. Bibi Dawn, Hulina, and Zhu Zhuqing appeared in the pavilion at the center of the lake. Teacher, is Obuchi's seclusion not over yet? Hulina held a teacup with one hand, and her jade-like face was filled with deep concern. It had been 3 months, and Lu Yuan still hadn't come out of seclusion. She was a little worried in her heart. Not yet. He said that he would be in seclusion for a very long time. Also, I often get close to him, and I find that his aura is rapidly strengthening. He's fine, and there's no danger. Don't worry. Looking at Hulina, Bibi Dawn said softly, That's true, but it's been 3 months. This time is a little too long. Also, I haven't seen him for 3 months, and I miss him a little. Hulina said. Chapter 842. Are you thinking about him again? Bibi Dawn looked at Hulina and said with a faint smile. Yes, teacher, don't you miss him? Hulina admitted straightforwardly and even checkmated Bibi Dawn. Why would I miss him? I don't miss that little bastard, Bibi Dawn said. Teacher, you're not being honest. No wonder Obuchi said that you don't mean what you say. Why are you still hiding it from us? Zhuqing already knows about the matter between you and Obuchi. Hulina smiled. Hearing this, Bibi Dawn was shocked. Even Zhuqing knew. She looked at Zhuqing. Zhuqing smiled but didn't say anything. Teacher, your relationship with Obuchi will be known sooner or later. Why do you have to act like a little girl? Hulina said softly as she looked at Bibi Dawn. I'm thinking for Obuchi. I don't care what the world thinks of me, but Obuchi is a genius. He's the pride of the world. I can't taint him because of me. Bibi Dawn shook her head and said indifferently, If even your holiness doesn't care, then Obuchi won't care either. Moreover, in this world, the strong are respected. Once the martial soul palace unifies the continent, even if your holiness and Obuchi get together, no one will dare to say no. Zhuqing's cold voice sounded. Zhuqing is right. As long as teacher and Obuchi are in love. So what if they're master and disciple? It's just a small matter. If not, like what Obuchi said, you can expel him from the sect first. Then, there won't be any obstacles between you two. Teacher, haven't you already gotten rid of all your worries with Obuchi? Why are you worried now? Hulina said. His Holiness the Pope is overthinking because he cares too much about Obuchi. That damned bastard just has to make us worry the most. He's been in seclusion for so long. I wonder what's going on now. I can only feel the aura, but I can't see the person. It's always worrying. Zhu Zhuqing said faintly, but her tone was filled with deep concern. Yes, Zhu Zhuqing's voice fell. BB Don and Hulina could not help but nod at the same time. Lake Heart Island, Lu Yuan's place of seclusion. In the empty house, the furnishings were simple. A huge wooden barrel was placed in the middle of the room. In the wooden barrel, the golden blood that had filled the barrel had long since disappeared. Instead, it was replaced by a layer of black-red bloody mud. The pure blood that belonged to the true dragon's heart blood had long been absorbed into Lu Yuan's body, while the impurities in Lu Yuan's body and the dregs of his blood had been completely expelled. At this moment, Lu Yuan's skin was white and delicate. His originally jade-like body had become even more flawless and even carried a kind of divine aura. The surface of his skin faintly glowed with golden light, which meant that Lu Yuan's defense had reached a new level. Suddenly, Lu Yuan opened his eyes abruptly. Suddenly, there was a burst of light, and in the void, there was a flash of lightning. Light from thought, electricity from the empty room. This was extremely high level. Golden light flickered in his eyes, and golden blood qi filled the air. Lu Yuan's body began to rapidly climb with dazzling golden dragon scales. If the golden dragon scales were originally diamond-shaped, then now the scales were in a completely different fan shape. Moreover, each scale carried a divine golden light. It was obvious that it had a great restraining power against evil. Two bulges gradually rose from the top of Lu Yuan's head, and then slowly grew bigger. Finally, they turned into two dragon horns. A pair of golden dragon wings stretched out from his back and gently stretched out. The wind it carried caused the wooden barrel that Lu Yuan was standing on to explode. Gently clenching his fist, he only felt a boundless power burst out from his body. With a punch, there was a low sound in the air. The fist force formed a terrifying air cannon and directly blew up the door in front of him. Roar! Lu Yuan roared to the sky. The loud and clear dragon roar resounded and instantly enveloped the entire island in the middle of the lake. Such a tyrannical dragon, aura. Obuchi must have completed his evolution. BB Don was the first to feel the dragon roar and immediately said, "Then let's hurry over and take a look," Hulina said. BB Don and Zhu Zhuqing nodded. The three of them quickly flashed and rushed in the direction of Lu Yuan. The dragon roar resounded for a long time. After the breath in Lu Yuan's chest was exhaled, it slowly stopped. Lu Yuan had just recovered his mind and glanced around, and three graceful figures appeared in his line of sight. "Ah, you little bastard, why aren't you wearing clothes?" Looking at Lu Yuan's current naked appearance, Hulina and Zhu Zhuqing were fine, but BB Don was the first to scream. This was the first time she saw a man naked. "Why are you screaming? You will see it sooner or later. Moreover, my bloodline has transformed. How can I wear clothes?" Rolling his eyes, Lu Yuan said snappily, "That's right. Teacher, you will see it sooner or later. Why are you being shy now?" Hulina said softly. Her gaze swept over Lu Yuan's body, and her eyes lit up. "Obuchi, your figure has become even better. Do you like it?" Lu Yuan asked with a faint smile. "I like it." Hulina nodded honestly. "Then wash up tonight and wait," Lu Yuan said. "Okay," Hulina said with a smile. "You guys go first. I need to wash up. Of course, if you want to observe, I have no objections." Lu Yuan looked at the three of them and said with a half smile, "Who wants to observe? Little bastard, you are still the same. Nana, Zhuqing, let's go." BB Don looked away and said indifferently, "Okay then. What a pity. I wanted to watch for a while longer." Hulina's expression was a little regretful. BB Don, Zhu Zhuqing looked at Lu Yuan and then looked at BB Don with a faint smile on her face. These two people are a little interesting. Moreover, even the dignified Pope would be shy when faced with this kind of thing. She is no different from an ordinary girl. BB Don left. After so many years, this was the first time she saw a man's body. Her heart was a little unsettled. She was shy, panicked, and had a little bit of indescribable expectation. This was a very complicated feeling. Since Bibidan left, Hulina and Zhuqing naturally followed her. Looking at Bibidan's back that quickly swept away, Lu Yuan smiled faintly. I didn't expect this woman to have such a cute side. She's really interesting. She actually saw my body and ran away shyly. But since she had seen him naked today, shouldn't he find a chance to see it back? Courtesy demands reciprocity. This doesn't seem to be wrong, Lu Yuan thought to himself. Chapter 843. Lu Yuan smiled faintly, then looked at his body. Although it was pure and flawless, sitting in the wooden barrel for a long time, coupled with the impurities in his body being expelled, made his body a little dirty. Soul power surged. Lu Yuan casually pointed, and the water elements in the air quickly condensed, immediately forming streams of clean water. Water element control was an ability that he would never have had before the evolution, but for the current him, it was a piece of cake. Dragons were born with the ability to control water, especially true, pure-blooded true dragons. In addition to their unbelievably strong bodies, their control of the elements was also at the peak. Especially water and fire control, these were simply innate abilities. Streams of pure water washed his body clean. Soul power circulated, evaporating the water droplets on his body, and Lu Yuan took out a new set of clothes to change into. Suddenly, the white clothes fluttered, and the extraordinary aura of Lu Yuan returned. Although the evolution of the bloodline this time was indescribably painful, the benefits were also incomparably great. Feeling the tyrannical bloodline power in his body, who knew how many times stronger, Lu Yuan said softly. The second-generation Golden Dragon bloodline was already incomparably strong, but compared to his current bloodline, the difference was incalculable. Originally, after only relying on the divine power of clear air to evolve, his bloodline was already comparable to the dragon god, but now it was definitely far superior. The benefits were too great, and he didn't know what level he was at now. System, open my personal interface. After thinking about it, Lu Yuan directly connected to the system. Ding, personal interface has been opened. Host, Lu Yuan Martial Soul, 5-clawed Golden Dragon King, God-slaying spear innate talent. Born with Polychoria physique, demigod bloodline, 5-clawed Golden Dragon King rank. Rank 70 soul Emperor soul rings. Black, red soul bones. Atlas palm bone, dark golden terror claw right palm bone, golden dragon battle armor, titan giant ape left arm bone cultivation method, clear air scripture, first half. Skills, true dragon treasured skill, incomplete. Polychoria, 6 great soul ring skills. 4 forms of the sea god's divine skill, spear technique series, bloodline self-created soul skills, etc. Weapon, Dragon Emperor Draining Spring Spear, Super Divine Weapon, Golden Dragon Spear, Divine Weapon. Items, Clear Air Divine Seed, Sea God's Heart, Star Ring, Immortal Herbs, Pills, Soul Tools, etc. Demigod Body. So, unknowingly, my physique has already entered the divine level. Lu Yuan couldn't help but sigh as he looked at the physique column in the system panel. His body was already very strong, and after so many transformations, he had already surpassed any human soul master in the world. With the constant nourishment of the pure energy and the baptism of the true dragon's heart blood, he had finally become a demigod. He was only a step away from becoming a god. Among the human soul masters, only Tang Chun, who had completed the Azura's 8 tests and had been transformed by the Azura god's divine power, possessed a demigod body. However, at that time, Tang Chen's body was already very broken. He could not unleash the power of a demigod at all. In fact, a demigod's body was actually very strong. After becoming a demigod, the age of my soul rings has increased tremendously. Roughly speaking, even if I kill the Snow Emperor or DT on, I can still withstand their soul rings. In other words, I can withstand at least 700,000 to 800,000 year soul rings without too much pressure. Amazing. The transformation this time is really like being reborn. The true dragon's heart blood is indeed the true dragon's heart blood. It's really extraordinary. There's also the incomplete true dragon treasured skill. My luck is not bad. I really obtained 2 of the loose moves. The power of this thing is definitely beyond my expectations. Lu Yuan thought to himself. Not bad. I'm very happy. Lu Yuan smiled gently. After that, he closed the system panel. Let's have a meal. After eating, I'll condense my 7th soul ring. Lu Yuan said softly. He was about to step out of the room. Suddenly, there was a fluctuation in the surrounding space, causing him to stop in his tracks. Who is it? Come out. A cold light flashed in Lu Yuan's eyes. The Dragon Emperor draining spring spear instantly appeared in his hand. Golden blood energy filled the air, and a tyrannical dragon's might immediately swept out. What? After not seeing each other for so long, you want to attack me as soon as we meet? A gentle voice sounded in Lu Yuan's ears, causing him to immediately stop his actions. A crack appeared in the void, and the silver-haired, purple-eyed Gu Yuna walked out. Her beautiful eyes blinked as she looked at Lu Yuan with a trace of resentment. Nar, looking at this figure, Lu Yuan couldn't help but reveal a smile on his face. He hadn't seen Gu Yuna for a long time, and seeing her today really made him pleasantly surprised. You still remember me? I thought you forgot about me. It's been more than 2 years, and you haven't come to see me even once. Gu Yuna's purple eyes looked at Lu Yuan. Her eyes were full of complaints. Hee, I have something to do. I don't have time. Lu Yuan chuckled. He looked a little embarrassed. Do you have so much to do? You don't even have so much time? Gu Yuna glanced at Lu Yuan and asked indifferently. I really don't have time. My schedule is very tight. Listen to me. After putting away the Dragon Emperor spring spear, Lu Yuan took 2 steps forward and held Gu Yuna's hand. He had a sincere expression on his face as he recounted everything that had happened after he left the Great Stardow Forest. How is it? I didn't lie to you, did I? My schedule is really full. Lu Yuan said softly. You pass. But why were you so reckless? You didn't come to find me for something as important as your bloodline evolution. You would have been much safer with me around. Gu Yuna complained softly. It's my fault, but it's mainly because my bloodline evolution was too rushed. I didn't have time to rush over. I made you worry. Lu Yuan said gently. It's good that you know. Do you know how worried I was when I sensed the situation when you were breaking through? If something like this happens again in the future, you have to find me immediately to protect you. I can help you. Gu Yuna said. Of course. Lu Yuan said softly. He wrapped his hands around Gu Yuna's waist and pulled her into his embrace. You become a lot prettier, Lu Yuan said with a smile as he looked at Gu Yuna's flawless face. For someone like him who was obsessed with appearances, looking at Gu Yuna's perfect face was a form of enjoyment. You become a lot more handsome too, Gu Yuna said as she stared intently at Lu Yuan's face. After experiencing the baptism of the true dragon's heart blood, Lu Yuan's body had been cleansed of all impurities. He had become a demigod, and he had gained a special characteristic that he didn't have in the past. He had indeed become a lot more handsome. Especially after his bloodline evolution, his body exuded an invisible aura that was even more attractive to women. Even Gu Yuna couldn't take her eyes off him. Chapter 844. Lu Yuan smiled faintly. Gu Yuna's praise naturally put him in a good mood. Looking at Gu Yuna's jade-like face and sniffing her alluring fragrance, Lu Yuan's mood fluctuated slightly. Seeing Gu Yuna again, the longing that had been hidden in his heart for a long time quickly spread out. Since you're here, don't leave. Stay with me for a while. How about I show you around? Lu Yuan asked gently as he gazed at Gu Yuna's noble purple eyes. Okay. Gu Yuna nodded gently and said, You said that you would take me to travel around the continent. I've been waiting for this day. I'll keep my word. This time, I'll take you to the Heaven Do Empire. My Dragon King Palace is there. Oh, there's also the Ice Fire in Yongwell. That's also the old haunt of the Dragon Clan. The remnant soul of the Ice Fire Dragon King is still there and hasn't dissipated. Lu Yuan said gently. You can arrange it. I'll listen to you. Gu Yuna lowered her head slightly and leaned against Lu Yuan's chest as she spoke softly. In front of Lu Yuan, she was always as gentle as water. Getting along with Gu Yuna was a very comfortable experience. Hearing Gu Yuna's words, Lu Yuan smiled faintly. His left hand gently wrapped around Gu Yuna's waist as he raised his right hand and gently stroked her silver hair. Her crystal-like silver hair felt so good to the touch that Lu Yuan couldn't bear part with it. How's your strength recovering? Lu Yuan asked softly as he gently stroked her hair. I've already recovered to the level of a first-tier god. Your esoteric character is very useful. Gu Yuna looked at Lu Yuan, her purple eyes filled with gentleness. If it weren't for Lu Yuan, she didn't know how many years it would take for her to completely recover. You've recovered to the level of a first-tier god? That's fast. With your level of a first-tier god and the help of the esoteric character, as well as your powerful spiritual power, I'm afraid you're invincible among the first-tier gods. My wife is too powerful. I'm under a lot of pressure. Lu Yuan sighed softly. Puchi. Hearing Lu Yuan's words, Gu Yuna couldn't help but laugh and said, No matter how powerful I am, I won't do anything to you. Moreover, you will definitely be stronger than me in the future. You are our hope. Besides, you're not too bad now. You have the body of a demigod and mental strength of a half-step to the limit, especially that bloodline in your body. Although it's restrained, it still makes me a little scared. I don't know how far your bloodline has evolved. It's just like that. It's just a little stronger than the dragon god's bloodline. Lu Yuan said with a faint smile, with an indifferent expression on his face. Gu Yuna was speechless. The dragon god's bloodline was already known to be the most powerful bloodline on the Douluo continent. This guy's bloodline had evolved to be even more powerful than the dragon gods, yet he still seemed to be very dissatisfied. This made Gu Yuna, who had always been good-tempered, want to beat him up. Lu Yuan couldn't help but smile at the sight of Gu Yuna's expression. Gu Yuna and the others all viewed the dragon god as their paramount faith, and the dragon god's bloodline was extremely powerful. Now that she had heard his words, her heart was definitely trembling. You're still smiling? This is the first time I've seen you asking for a beating. Gu Yuna glanced at Lu Yuan with a displeased expression. It was just a joke to liven up the atmosphere. A faint smile appeared on Lu Yuan's face as he lowered his head to make contact with Gu Yuna's forehead, and said, I did indeed reap a lot of rewards from my recent evolution. The main reason for that is because I obtained a drop of heart blood from a pure-blooded true dragon. A pure-blooded true dragon? It's that powerful? Gu Yuna was rather stunned to hear this. Since when were true dragons so powerful that Lu Yuan's bloodline had surpassed that of the dragon gods? The true dragon I'm referring to is a true dragon, not the so-called giant dragons of the Douluo continent that you're thinking of. I'm going to say something that you might not be able to accept, but please don't get too worked up. Lu Yuan said in a soft voice. Go ahead, I won't get worked up, Gu Yuna replied. What I want to say is that all of the dragons on the Douluo continent are actually only mixed blood dragons, including the dragon god. It's also a mixed blood dragon, and it's far inferior to a true dragon. Look, this is what a true dragon should look like. Lu Yuan pointed his finger forward, and the water in the air surged before forming a series of roaring five-clawed true dragons. Isn't this the type of dragon that you created with your soul skill, dragon roaming the great void? Gu Yuna asked. That's right, this is the form of a true dragon, Lu Yuan replied in a warm voice. I've never seen this type of dragon before, Gu Yuna said with a shake of her head at the sight of Lu Yuan's true dragon form. It's normal that you've never seen one before, as there are no true dragons on the Douluo continent, Lu Yuan said. Then how did you obtain the heart blood? Gu Yuna asked as she turned to Lu Yuan. Well, I've always been special, haven't I? Lu Yuan replied. That's true, you're different. Gu Yuna nodded in response. She knew that Lu Yuan wasn't from the Douluo continent, and he had a mysterious background. So it wasn't all that unbelievable that he'd been able to obtain the heart blood of a true dragon. Then has your bloodline evolved to that of a pure-blooded true dragon? Gu Yuna asked. I'm not a pure-blooded true dragon, but I'm not too far away from it. Furthermore, my bloodline is a little strange. It possesses the characteristics of both pure-blooded true dragons and Douluo dragons. I have the body of an Eastern dragon and the wings of a Western dragon. Due to the fact that my bloodline evolved from the Golden Dragon King, I call it the five-clawed Golden Dragon King. However, this form is rather similar to a type of dragon known as the Godly Dragon. Lu Yuan explained in a soft voice. Godly Dragon? What kind of dragon is that? Gu Yuna's eyes widened slightly upon hearing this. She'd never heard of this dragon before. Godly Dragon. I'll tell you about it slowly. Lu Yuan pressed his forehead against Gu Yuna's, and he began to slowly tell her about the Godly Dragon. At the same time, he introduced all types of other powerful dragons to Gu Yuna. Gu Yuna's beautiful purple eyes were wide open as she listened to Lu Yuan's story with an unblinking gaze. She was very interested in the strange dragons that Lu Yuan was describing. Do you understand now? Lu Yuan asked in a gentle voice as he gently nuzzled Gu Yuna's pretty face. I understand. I wouldn't have known if you hadn't told me, but now that you've mentioned it, I feel like my bloodline is very weak. Gu Yuna spoke softly. She was a little shocked to hear Lu Yuan talk about powerful dragons, and for the first time, she felt that the bloodline of the Silver Dragon King was just so. She was the great ruler of all soul beasts on the Douluo continent. She had always been proud of her bloodline, but after hearing Lu Yuan's words today, she realized just how ignorant and ill-informed she was. Haha, you're thinking too much. That's a dragon that only exists in other large worlds. You're very powerful in the Douluo world, really. Lu Yuan first laughed before beginning to comfort Gu Yuna. Chapter 845. That's true, but I still can't feel happy. Gu Yu said softly, suddenly knowing that she was so weak and that there were so many powerful dragons above her. It would be strange if she didn't feel shocked. Ancestral dragon, winged dragon, torch dragon, and so on made her scalp tingle. She really didn't expect that there would be such powerful dragons in the world. Compared to this, she was really beaten to a pulp in an instant. Then let's talk about something that will make you happy. My bloodline has evolved, so now we can do that. And if we are lucky, maybe we can have a descendant with a powerful bloodline. Lu Yuan said softly with a strange smile on his face. As soon as these words came out, Gu Yuna's pretty face suddenly blushed. When they were in the Great Stardew Forest, she actually took the initiative, but Lu Yuan refused at that time because he said that his bloodline had not evolved. And now that his bloodline had finally evolved, they could indeed do that. Let's have a little dragon god. Our bloodlines are so pure, and we have to pass it down. Lu Yuan leaned close to Gu Yuna's ear and whispered. And Gu Yuna said softly. If one didn't listen carefully, they wouldn't be able to hear it clearly. But Lu Yuan's perception was sensitive, and he heard this soft voice clearly. With a thought, Lu Yuan lowered his head slightly and sealed Gu Yuna's red lips. After not seeing each other for a long time, the two of them were naturally very intimate. After a while, Lu Yuan held Gu Yuna's hand and walked out. Lu Yuan's temperament was like an immortal, and Gu Yuna was as perfect as a goddess. The two of them walking together were really a perfect match. The two of them should be the peak of male and female appearance in the entire Douluo continent. After absorbing the true dragon's heart blood, Lu Yuan's appearance improved again, and it had reached an indescribable level. And Gu Yuna was, needless to say, the title of the #1 beauty in the Douluo world was not undeserved. Even the current Chihiro Snow and Bibidon were inferior to her. The two of them walked out hand in hand towards the pavilion in the middle of the lake. Hey, am I seeing things? There seems to be a woman next to Obuchi. Hulina was far away. She couldn't see clearly. I'm not mistaken. It's a woman. But where did this woman come from? The Martial Soul Palace is so heavily guarded. How'd she get in? Zhu Zhuqing narrowed her eyes and asked in a cold voice. They're holding hands. That little bastard wouldn't be so close to a woman he doesn't know. If I'm not wrong, that woman should be Gu Yuna. She's so strong, it wouldn't be difficult for her to sneak into the Martial Soul Palace. Bibidon glanced around and said indifferently, "It should be her. Among Obuchi's women, she's the only one I haven't seen," Zhu Zhuqing said. "Who are those people?" As they walked, Guyuna suddenly sensed Bibi Dong and the others' gazes and asked with a puzzled expression, "They're all my women." Lu Yuan chuckled. "That Chihiro Snow isn't here, but there are 3 of them. Did you find them again after you got together with me?" Guyuna was stunned at first. Then, she seemed to think of something. Her purple eyes swept towards Lu Yuan. "Hee, I can't do anything about it." Lu Yuan scratched his head and said embarrassedly, "Like hell I'll believe you. You're such a playboy. Tell me honestly, how many girlfriends do you have?" Guyuna asked. "Not many. Including you, only 6. Lu Yuan smiled. "6 isn't a lot? How many more do you want?" Guyuna stared at Lu Yuan and asked indifferently, "I'm not looking anymore. I won't even have time to rest if I look for another week." Lu Yuan smirked and said, "You're really a pervert." Guyuna was stunned at first. Only after thinking about it carefully did she understand what Lu Yuan meant. She couldn't help but spit. "Thanks for the compliment. It's a man's nature. Besides, I'm a dragon." Lu Yuan glanced at Guyuna and said with a faint smile, "Guyuna." Encountering such a Lu Yuan, she was really at her wit's end. His skin was so thick that even the city walls might not be comparable to it. Moreover, she had always been gentle to Lu Yuan. Although she was powerful, she really couldn't control Lu Yuan. On the contrary, she basically listened to Lu Yuan. Let's go. It's time for you to meet each other." Lu Yuan chuckled. He took Guyuna's hand and walked quickly into the pavilion in the middle of the lake. "So beautiful." Bibi Don and the other 2's gazes fell on Guyuna as soon as Lu Yuan and the other 2 arrived. Guyuna's perfect appearance shocked them immediately. "No wonder Obuchi can't forget about you. I didn't expect there to be such a beautiful woman in this world." Hulina looked straight at Guyuna and couldn't help but sigh. "You're really beautiful. No wonder Chio always said that her sister Na was the most beautiful." Zhu Zhuqing was also captivated for a moment. She couldn't help but praise softly. "Such a face is really stunning. Little bastard, why are you so lucky that such a beautiful person fell in love with you?" Bibi Don sighed softly, then turned to look at Lu Yuan. "I can't help it. Who asked me to be so charming?" Lu Yuan spread his hands and said helplessly, "Bah, bah, bah." Bibi Don and the other 2 spat at the same time. "Lu Yuan, you're still so shameless." Hee. Lu Yuan chuckled when he saw what the 3 of them were doing. He wasn't angry at all. "Let me introduce you. This is Guyuna, the possessor of the silver dragon bloodline. She and I are a match made in heaven." Lu Yuan said softly, "Hello, welcome to the Martial Soul Palace. I'm Pope Bibi Don of the Martial Soul Palace." Bibi Don ignored Lu Yuan and greeted Guyuna directly. This was the first time that Lu Yuan had seen Bibi Don take the initiative to greet someone. Bibi Don was a limit Douluo, and she could sense how terrifying Guyuna was. She was a powerful being who exceeded the imagination of ordinary people, so her attitude towards Guyuna was quite good. The strong were revered, and this was reflected in all aspects of the Douluo continent. "Hello, I'm the Holy Maiden of the Martial Soul Palace, Hulina." "Hello, I'm Zhu Zhuqing." Hulina and Zhu Zhuqing also greeted Bibi Don. "Hello, I'm Guyuna," Guyuna said softly. "All right, there's no need to be so formal. We're going to be a family in the future, so there's no need to be so formal. Let's sit down and talk." Lu Yuan said softly as he pulled Guyuna to sit down on a stone bench. Bibi Don and the others were very interested in meeting Guyuna for the first time, and their eyes were constantly on her. Chapter 846. Guyuna, on the other hand, wasn't shy at all. Her actions were appropriate and natural. Bibi Don, the Pope, couldn't help but sigh inwardly. Moreover, with her keen senses, she could clearly sense the superior temperament in Guyuna's bones. It was obvious that Guyuna was in a high position like her. She didn't know what Guyuna's identity was and how Lu Yuan managed to kidnap her. As she thought about this, Bibidon's eyes unconsciously glanced at Lu Yuan. "What are you looking at?" Why are you looking around? Lu Yuan said snappily when he felt Bibidon's eyes darting around. I can't even look at you now, Bibidon asked indifferently. Of course you can. I'll let you look at me to your heart's content tonight. Lu Yuan smiled. Bah, you wish, Bibidon said coquettishly. This guy wanted to take advantage of her again. How could she run away when they were together in the middle of the night? She wasn't ready for the final step yet. Hearing Bibidon's words, Lu Yuan smiled faintly. He knew that Bibidon wasn't ready, and he wouldn't force her. This kind of thing was more interesting after all. By the way, Dong Er, arrange for someone to prepare a room for Nara later. She'll be staying here for a few days, Lu Yuan said softly as he looked at Bibidon. I know. Just leave it to me. Bibidon's red lips parted slightly as she said indifferently. I'm relieved when you're handling things. Lu Yuan smiled. Hearing this, Bibidon's expression didn't change, but she was a little happy in her heart. She looked at Lu Yuan and asked, Did your bloodline evolution go smoothly this time? Hulina and Zhu Zhuqing couldn't help but look at Lu Yuan. They were most concerned about Lu Yuan's situation. It went quite well. My bloodline has successfully evolved from a golden dragon to a 5-clawed golden dragon king. My martial soul is now the #1 beast martial soul on the continent. Lu Yuan said gently, Have you condensed your 7th soul ring? Bibidon asked. Not yet. I'm a little hungry. Let's talk after dinner. I haven't eaten for 3 months, Lu Yuan said. Ha! Hearing this, Hulina could not help but laugh. What are you laughing at? Lu Yuan looked at Hulina. It's nothing. I just find it a little funny. You haven't eaten for 3 months. Those who don't know would think that you're living a miserable life. Hulina said with a smile. Indeed, I used to see those beggars say that they haven't eaten for 3 days. Give them some. You're amazing. You haven't eaten for 3 months. Zhu Zhuqing's cold voice sounded. There was a hint of teasing in her tone. Lu Yuan. Hearing the two girls' words, Lu Yuan's face darkened. Are they comparing me to a beggar? Seeing Lu Yuan's slightly dark face, Bibidon was also a little amused and said indifferently, Okay, stop fooling around. Since Obuchi is hungry, let's eat first. It's almost noon. Okay, teacher, you have the final say. Obuchi, eat more later. Hulina blinked and said with a playful face. Lu Yuan. Looking at Hulina's beautiful face full of smiles, Lu Yuan said indifferently, Wash up and wait tonight. You'll be alone tonight. As soon as he said that, Hulina's face fell. If Obuchi wanted to take revenge, she was afraid that she wouldn't be able to do it alone. Obuchi, why don't we add the Zhuqing gang to help? She was also involved just now. With that thought, Hulina immediately pulled someone to be her scapegoat. Zhu Zhuqing. She looked at Hulina with her clear eyes wide open. What happened to being good sisters? Were they betrayed just like that? What a pair of plastic sisters. Okay, the two of you will be together tonight. Lu Yuan said softly and glanced at Bibidon. Look at you. Don't tell me you have something to say. Do you want to join? No, you'd better look for the two of them. Bibidon immediately pulled out. Dead Taoist and undead Taoist, you guys can mess around. She didn't want to get involved. What a pity. Hearing this, Lu Yuan couldn't help but sigh softly. Bibidon couldn't help but secretly spit. As expected, this guy wanted to do something to her. After the order was given, lunch was soon ready. After eating lunch together and chatting for a while, Lu Yuan prepared to go into seclusion to condense his bloodline soul ring. What he said just now was just a joke. Condensing his soul ring was the real deal. Obuchi, if you want to condense your soul ring, bring me along. I came for this matter. Guyuna said softly as she pulled Lu Yuan's sleeve. And Lu Yuan was slightly surprised, but looking at Guyuna's serious expression, he nodded. Then come along. Dong Er, you guys chat. Nah. And I will go first. Lu Yuan said to Bibidon and the others. Don't worry, go. Be careful, Bibidon said. I will. Lu Yuan replied softly as he held Guyuna's hand and walked toward a place not far away. After finding an empty room, Lu Yuan and Nar walked in. Standing slightly upright, Lu Yuan looked into Guyuna's eyes and asked in a low voice, "Na, what do you want to say now?" My seventh soul ring is a bloodline soul ring. How can you help me? Of course I have a way. Look at this, Gu Yuna said as she waved her hand, and a golden bead appeared in her hand. Suddenly, rich energy fluctuations swept out, causing Lu Yuan to raise his eyebrows. This thing is not simple. Such powerful energy fluctuations, and it actually contains divine power? Looking at the golden bead, Lu Yuan couldn't help but say in a serious voice, "This is the second-generation Golden Dragon's God Core," Gu Yuna said softly. The second-generation Golden Dragon's God Core? It left something like this behind? Lu Yuan was a little surprised as he asked. It did. However, although this God Core belonged to it, it has already lost a small portion of its divine power. Gu Yuna said, "A small portion of its divine power has been lost? What's going on? Tell me," Lu Yuan said. It's like this. When the second-generation Golden Dragon reached the end of its lifespan, the divine power and bloodline in its God Core began to seep out. Generally speaking, the God Core is the core of a God Beast. Bloodline essence and divine power are stored in the God Core. But back then, that supreme purple light forcefully extracted the bloodline essence from the God Core and created you. As a result, only origin divine power is left in the God Core. Without the bloodline essence, the divine power in the God Core began to seep out faster. If I hadn't sealed it in time, I'm afraid that the entire God Core's origin divine power would have dissipated. Even so, it still lost a small portion of its divine power. It's a pity that the Golden Dragon's origin divine power is very beneficial to you. Gu Yuna sighed softly. Chapter 847. There's nothing to regret. There's still more than half of the divine origin power left. You've already done your best. Furthermore, the second-generation Golden Dragon is a first-tier god. I don't have the ability to absorb its complete divine origin power. Lu Yuan said gently. That's true. Gu Yuna couldn't help but smile at Lu Yuan's words. If anyone below the god rank dared to touch the complete origin power of a first-tier god, there would only be one result. Their body would explode, and they would die. So, you want to use this thing to help me condense my seventh soul ring? Lu Yuan asked softly as he gently caressed Gu Yuna's face. Yes, I plan to use your bloodline soul ring as the foundation and fuse it with the second-generation Golden Dragon's divine origin power to create a divine ring for you. It will lay the foundation for you to become a god. Gu Yuna said softly. Divine ring? Do you think I can fuse with a divine ring with my current physique? Lu Yuan smiled bitterly. A divine ring wasn't a million-year soul ring. It was much more domineering than a million-year soul ring. A million-year soul ring could only be transformed into a divine ring after its owner became a god and was branded with divine power. It could be said that a million-year soul ring only had the foundation to become a god-rank soul ring, but it wasn't actually a god-rank soul ring. A true god-rank soul ring was very powerful. Gu Yuna wanted to use Lu Yuan's bloodline soul ring as the foundation and the second-generation Golden Dragon's divine origin power as the energy to create a divine ring. It wasn't impossible because the second-generation Golden Dragon was a true god and Lu Yuan's bloodline was unimaginably powerful. The combination of the two was actually very promising. However, the problem was that Lu Yuan couldn't withstand the power of a god-rank soul ring at all. A demigod body was indeed very powerful. It could even withstand a million-year soul ring after a period of growth. However, it was impossible to perfectly withstand a divine ring unless the demigod body evolved into a god body. How could it be so simple to evolve into a god body? I know you can't withstand the divine ring, and you can't completely absorb the divine power within the divine core. But with me here, I can use my own divine power to protect you. I've already recovered to the level of a first-tier god. You also have the assistance of the clear air divine power and the vast ocean divine power, and the origin divine power of the second-generation Golden Dragon is extremely compatible with you, so you won't feel any discomfort. On top of that, Your demigod body can withstand a 900,000-year soul ring. If that's the case, you should be able to withstand it even if your soul rings are increased to 1,000,000 years. As for the energy you can't absorb from the divine ring, you could divide it into 3 parts. First, use it to promote the evolution of the attached soul bone. Second, use it to increase the age of your other soul rings. Thirdly, the remaining energy is sealed in your soul bone. You can slowly absorb the energy from it. With this 3-pronged approach, no matter how much divine energy the second-generation Golden Dragon's divine core transforms into, you'll still be able to absorb it all. Gu Yuna analyzed seriously. Lu Yuan was touched by Gu Yuna's words. Her arrangements were so logical and detailed, so she must have thought about it for a long time. Perhaps she had been preparing for this day since a long time ago. With that in mind, Lu Yuan looked at Gu Yuna's serious expression, and he couldn't help but reach out and gently embrace her. What's wrong? Gu Yuna was taken aback by Lu Yuan's embrace, and she looked at him with a puzzled expression. Nar, it's so good to have you around, Lu Yuan said softly. Gu Yuna had done so much for him all this time, but he couldn't help her with anything, so he felt a little guilty. Gu Yuna couldn't help but smile when she heard this, and she also gently embraced Lu Yuan. You're also very good to me, so there's no need to stand on ceremony between us, Gu Yuna said gently. Yes. Lu Yuan buried his head in Gu Yuna's silvery hair and murmured softly. Nar, Lu Yuan gently called out. What's wrong? Gu Yuna asked again. Nothing. Lu Yuan opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but he didn't say it in the end. The two of them hugged quietly for a while, and Lu Yuan said softly, Nah, when you finish absorbing the soul ring, I'll teach you a claw technique. After thinking for a long time, he was prepared to teach Gu Yuna the true dragon claw of the true dragon treasured skill. He had absorbed the true dragon's heart blood and relied on his excellent perception to comprehend the 3 moves of the true dragon treasured skill. They were the dragon control technique, dragon roar, and true dragon claw. The dragon control technique could control all dragons in the world, and it could even transform one's true chi into a true dragon to defend against enemies. The dragon roar's sound wave attack contained a strong dragon's might, and it could shatter one's courage and cause one's soul to scatter. The true dragon claw's attack was unparalleled, and there was nothing it couldn't break. It was definitely Lu Yuan's strongest attack skill. Once this skill was unleashed, all beasts would bow their heads. For example, the dragon god's claw that Di Tian was so proud of was nothing compared to the true dragon claw. The true dragon treasured skill belonged to the dragon race, and humans without the dragon bloodline couldn't use it to their fullest potential. It wasn't like the 9 esoteric arts, which was a human race secret art that was innately suited for humans. Furthermore, he had only just comprehended the true dragon treasured skill, so he didn't want to teach it to anyone. But how could he bear to keep it to himself after Gu Yuna treated him so well? If he taught the true dragon claw to Gu Yuna, even if she didn't have the dragon bloodline, her battle prowess would be greatly enhanced. After all, Gu Yuna was a silver dragon king, and no matter what, she was still a dragon. Teach me a claw technique? I'm a clone of the dragon god, so I know the dragon god's claw. You don't have to teach me a claw technique. All right, do you want to learn the dragon god's claw? I can teach you. Gu Yuna looked at Lu Yuan and asked in a gentle voice. Hearing this, Lu Yuan was even more moved. He kissed Gu Yuna's forehead and said, There's no need for the dragon god's claw. What I want to teach you is the true dragon claw of a pure-blooded dragon. Its attack power is unrivaled in this world, and if you use it, your power will definitely rise to another level. Once you recover your original strength, with the esoteric secret art and the true dragon claw, you'll be able to put up a fight even against the Azura god, who has the strongest attack power. Perhaps he won't even be a match for you. The true dragon claw of a pure-blooded dragon? That's too precious. Gu Yuna's voice trembled slightly. She didn't need to think to know that this technique from a pure-blooded dragon would be unimaginably powerful. You're good to me, so I naturally won't be stingy. Nar, don't refuse, Lu Yuan said in a gentle voice. All right. Gu Yuna nodded gently and replied in a gentle voice. She looked at Lu Yuan with deep affection in her eyes. The true dragon claw was definitely far more valuable than the second-generation golden dragon's divine core, but Lu Yuan was still willing to give it to her, just like how he had taught her the esoteric secret art. She would remember this kindness in her heart. In the end, she hadn't fallen in love with the wrong person. Lu Yuan's love for her was also very deep. This little man always said that he hadn't helped her, but in reality, he had already helped her enough. Chapter 848. From the life spirit crystal to the secret character to the true dragon claw, he didn't give her many things, but they were all valuable treasures. This was especially so for the secret character and the true dragon claw. Their value couldn't be measured by ordinary items. In comparison, the golden dragon spear and the second-generation golden dragon's god's core couldn't compare. Come to think of it, this man is quite generous. He's also quite generous. Guyana thought to herself, oh yes, since the second-generation golden dragon's god's core is here, does that mean its soul bone is here too? Lu Yuan suddenly thought of something and couldn't help but ask. Even 100,000-year soul beasts would produce soul bones, let alone the second-generation golden dragon. It would definitely produce a soul bone. Of course it does. The second-generation golden dragon's god-tier soul bone is my second gift to you. It's also used to seal the divine ring's power. Otherwise, an ordinary 100,000-year soul bone wouldn't be able to store much of the divine ring's power. Let go of me first, and I'll show it to you, Gu Yuna said softly. All right, Lu Yuan replied. After that, he gently let go of Gu Yuna's waist. Gu Yuna took a step back. Light flashed in her hand, and a bright golden soul bone appeared in her hand. This was a right arm bone. It was an extremely complete and mystical right arm bone. There were dense undulations of divine power on it. The entire soul bone didn't seem like an inanimate object. Instead, it seemed more like a living being. It was full of life. Furthermore, because they came from the same source, Lu Yuan felt a sense of closeness to it. This is the golden dragon's right arm bone. It's hard to find a more suitable soul bone for you. Furthermore, given the golden dragon's pride, only you can absorb its soul bone. Even Chiu can't do it. Her golden dragon bloodline is too thin. Guyana said softly. After hearing this, Lu Yuan couldn't help but nod. Even the ice jade scorpion's soul bone had its own pride. Apart from those with ultimate ice martial souls, no one else could absorb it. Furthermore, it was the soul bone of the second-generation golden dragon. In the entire continent, the only person who could absorb its soul bone was Lu Yuan. Although Lu Yuan's bloodline had evolved, the special characteristics of the golden dragon bloodline had been preserved. In fact, it had even been enhanced. Therefore, absorbing this soul bone was not a problem for him. Obuchi, absorb it. With it, your physique will be strengthened by a lot. When the time comes, even if you rely on yourself, you should be able to withstand a 1,000,000-year soul ring. With my protection, the formation of the divine ring is even more assured. Guyana said. All right, help protect me, Lu Yuan said warmly. Guyana nodded and said, all right, go ahead and absorb the energy. Pinching Guyana's pretty face, Lu Yuan took the golden dragon right arm bone from her hand, then found a clean place to sit down cross-legged. His bloodline surged, and the dragon's aura of the five-clawed golden dragon king's bloodline instantly filled the entire room. Guyana's pretty face changed when she was enveloped by this dragon's aura. The bloodline in her body surged, and a desire to crawl surged in her heart. However, she was now a level 1 god. Her strength was extremely high, and this desire was suppressed by her absolute strength. Even so, her expression still fluctuated. What a terrifying bloodline aura. Even the dragon god can't compare to it. Pure-blooded true dragons are indeed terrifying. Just a drop of their heart's blood has allowed Obuchi's bloodline to reach such a level. Guyana sighed in her heart. Guyana was wrong. Pure-blooded true dragons were indeed terrifying, but not all of them were omnipotent. It also depended on their cultivation. Lu Yuan had only been able to evolve so much because he had obtained the heart's blood from an immortal king ranked true dragon. After evolving, Lu Yuan's bloodline was already comparable to that of a normal true dragon, which was why Gu Yuna's bloodline was so oppressive. If it were a normal true dragon, Lu Yuan definitely wouldn't have been able to reap such great benefits. Lu Yuan picked up the golden dragon right arm bone and pressed it against his right arm. As long as he was powerful enough, there was no threshold for him to absorb soul bones. It wasn't like soul rings, which required both his physique and spiritual power. For example, a soul ancestor could absorb a 100,000-year soul bone, but absorbing a 100,000-year soul ring would be suicide. However, there were always some special soul bones that had high requirements for the person absorbing them. The golden dragon was one of them. Its power was extremely violent, and if one wasn't powerful enough and couldn't control it, then it was very likely that the soul bone's power would backfire. However, this didn't exist for Lu Yuan, not to mention that he was extremely compatible with the golden dragon right arm bone. Just his current strength attribute was much more domineering than the golden dragon's. Soul power circulated, and the golden clear chi scripture soul power exuded a tyrannical aura. Under the effect of soul power, the golden dragon right arm bone turned into a streak of golden light and directly entered Lu Yuan's right arm. Suddenly, an incomparably tyrannical power gushed out of Lu Yuan's right arm and spread throughout his body. What vigorous divine power! It seems that my constitution can take another step forward. Feeling the tyrannical power of this power, Lu Yuan couldn't help but sigh inwardly. The clear chi scripture quickly circulated, and his chi, blood, and golden core trembled. Boundless bloodline power surged out and started to rapidly absorb the power of the golden dragon right arm bone, nourishing his body. Even though he was now a demigod, Lu Yuan could still feel that his constitution was slowly becoming stronger. This was because the feeling of being filled with power couldn't be deceived. The five-clawed Golden Dragon King's bloodline and the clear chi scripture circulated at the same time, and the refining speed could be said to be extremely fast. In addition to the extremely high compatibility and intimacy, Lu Yuan basically didn't encounter any problems during his journey of fusing with the soul bone. After about 2 hours, the dragon roars stopped, and Lu Yuan's polychoria suddenly opened. The fusion of the golden dragon right arm bone was complete. He gently clenched his fist, and a terrifying power immediately surged. Lu Yuan didn't know how strong he was now, but his intuition told him that he could kill an ordinary titled Douluo with a single punch. Furthermore, he could smash them into smithereens. If his strength was less than 300,000 kilograms when he came out of the city of massacre, then his current strength was at least 500,000 kilograms. The important thing to note was that it was at least 500,000 kilograms. The baptism of the true dragon's heart blood and the right arm bone of the second-generation golden dragon had raised his strength to an absolutely terrifying level. Lu Yuan didn't dare to be certain of his terrifying strength because he hadn't tested it before. However, there was no doubt that his improvement was huge. Seeing Lu Yuan open his eyes, Gu Yuna couldn't help but ask softly, "Are you done absorbing?" Chapter 849. Lu Yuan looked at Gu Yuna in a gentle voice and said, "Yes, I've made great progress. I'm confident that I'll be able to attain a 1,000,000-year soul ring." "All right, then we can begin preparing for your 7th soul ring." Gu Yuna said. What are you going to do?" Lu Yuan asked Gu Yuna softly. "You can condense your bloodline soul ring first, and once you've condensed your soul ring to a certain degree, I'll channel the energy from the second-generation Golden Dragon God Core into your bloodline soul ring. At the same time, you just have to work hard to reach a higher number of years. As for condensing your divine ring, controlling the energy, and sealing it, I'll help you with that. I'll also use my own divine power to protect you, so you won't be in any danger." Gu Yuna said. A faint smile appeared on Lu Yuan's face upon hearing this, and he said, "I rarely live off women in the past, but I've got to admit that I'm living off a woman today." It's great to have such a powerful wife. I can save myself years of hard work. Puffed. Gu Yuna burst into laughter upon hearing Lu Yuan's words, and said, "Then you have to be more obedient in the future. Otherwise, you won't be able to live off a woman anymore." Obedient? Nah, I'll make you more obedient, Lu Yuan said with a mischievous grin. You're such a cheeky talker. Gu Yuna pouted before a serious expression appeared on her face. Let's begin. Lu Yuan nodded in response, and his soul power surged. Golden light surged from his body, and a holy aura exuded from his body. A loud dragon's roar rang out, and a divine dragon appeared behind Lu Yuan. Its head resembled that of a cow. Its horns resembled those of a deer. Its eyes resembled prawns. Its ears resembled that of an elephant. Its neck resembled that of a snake. Its scales resembled those of a fish. Its claws resembled those of a phoenix, and its palms resembled those of tiger. Aside from the addition of a pair of golden dragon wings, it was no different from a pure-blooded true dragon. Dazzling golden fan-shaped scales began to appear all over Lu Yuan's body, and a pair of dragon horns protruded from his head. A pair of golden dragon wings flapped gently behind him, and his 6 black, red, and red soul rings began to radiate dazzling divine light. Lu Yuan's dual pupils flashed, and his 5-clawed golden dragon king bloodline began to surge within his body. Countless specks of golden light began to emanate from Lu Yuan's body, and they revolved around his body. More and more golden specks of light appeared, and soon the entire room was filled with golden specks of light. The special factor in the bloodline was completely released. Finally, when it reached a certain point, the golden light spots stopped increasing. Lu Yuan's mind moved, and the golden light spots in the room began to condense. After about half an hour, the golden light spots had completely condensed into a huge golden halo that surrounded Lu Yuan. White, yellow, purple, black, and red. In the blink of an eye, the golden halo rapidly changed into 5 different colors and directly entered the domain of the 100,000-year soul ring. However, this was only the beginning. As time passed, the light red color began to deepen, and soon it became a demonic blood-red color. 2 golden rays cut through the blood-red color, and 2 strange golden patterns appeared on the demonic blood-red ring, exuding a noble aura. Double golden pattern blood rings. This meant that the soul ring had reached over 200,000 years, and it had stepped into the realm of vicious bee-soul rings. Even so, the changes were still ongoing. Another 2 hours passed, and the blood-red soul ring around Lu Yuan's body was now surrounded by 9 noble golden patterns. This meant that the soul ring had reached 900,000 years of age. 900,000 years was a terrifying number, and it was definitely the oldest soul ring that a human soul master had on the Douluo continent. At this point, the transformation of the blood-red ring gradually stopped. Before ascending to godhood and possessing his own divine power, Lu Yuan could only form an origin bloodline ring of 990,000 years at most. 1,000,000 years was already enough to touch upon the realm of divinity, but he still couldn't form such a soul ring right now. Therefore, at this point, it was time to borrow external help. Gu Yuna had been paying attention to the changes in Lu Yuan's body. When she noticed this, she moved her hand slightly, and the 2nd-generation golden dragon's god's core turned into a beam of light and rushed into the huge 9-pattern blood ring that Lu Yuan had formed. Immediately, terrifying divine power erupted, and the blood-red ring turned into a dazzling golden color. This time, the golden halo wasn't like the original golden halo, which was only golden in color. Instead, it was filled with an indescribable sense of nobility. 1,000,000 years. This soul ring had reached 1,000,000 years of age. Divine power continued to erupt from the golden soul ring as it continued to imprint itself with divine power. Gradually, the 1,000,000-year soul ring began to undergo a bizarre transformation. Finally, at a certain moment, a divine aura emerged from the golden halo. The transformation was complete. Now, let's get to the main point. Gu Yuna's expression stiffened slightly, and silver divine power flowed from her into Lu Yuan's body to protect his body. In Lu Yuan's sea of consciousness, the clearer divine seed and Neptune's heart both shone brightly, and they released their divine power to protect Lu Yuan. The golden soul ring gradually shrank, transforming into an extremely dazzling golden soul ring that rushed directly into the seventh soul ring of Lu Yuan's five-clawed golden dragon king, martial soul. Immediately, boundless energy flowed from the soul ring into Lu Yuan's body. The true absorption of the soul ring had begun. Boundless divine power flowed from the top of Lu Yuan's head, and it spread throughout Lu Yuan's body. The golden dragon armor, Atlas palm bone, and dusk gold terror claws all appeared on their own. Gu Yuna's spiritual power controlled the soul ring, and a portion of the soul ring's energy flowed into the three external soul bones. At the same time, Gu Yuna controlled another portion of the soul ring's energy to flow into Lu Yuan's first six soul rings. The rest of the soul ring's energy flowed into Lu Yuan's body, and Lu Yuan quickly absorbed it. The soul ring's energy was incomparably dense, and the external soul bones, soul rings, and Lu Yuan's body all benefited greatly. The three external soul bones began to evolve rapidly, especially the golden dragon armor, because it came from the gold scale imperial dragon turtle, which had the bloodline of the golden dragon. It benefited the most and evolved the most thoroughly. The golden dragon armor, which was originally comparable to a 100,000-year soul bone, rose in quality rapidly, and it was on its way to becoming a god. Lu Yuan's soul rings also benefited greatly. His six soul rings absorbed the soul ring's energy at the same time, and their age began to increase rapidly. The black of the 10,000-year soul ring became deeper, and a faint red color gradually appeared. The color of the 100,000-year soul ring became deeper, and its blood-red color became even more demonic. Of course, Lu Yuan's soul ring underwent the greatest transformation. Chapter 850. If the external soul bone and soul ring took away 40% of the divine ring's energy, then there was still at least 60% of the energy left in Lu Yuan's body. Flesh, meridians, bones, soul power, Lu Yuan's entire body was absorbing the divine ring's energy crazily. The second-generation golden dragon was originally a Class 1 god. Even if a small portion of its origin divine power dissipated and 40% was taken away, the remaining divine ring's energy was comparable to a Class 2 god's entire body's divine power. This was definitely not something an ordinary million-year soul beast could compare to. Under the influence of this energy, Lu Yuan's meridians and bones were gradually dyed with a golden color. Gold was the color of a god-tier being. If Lu Yuan's bones and tendons were turned completely gold, it would mean that his body had truly entered the god tier. Could this energy push Lu Yuan's body to the god realm? Without a doubt, it could. Gods were divided into different levels. The same went for divine bodies. Class 3 divine bodies, Class 2 divine bodies, Class 1 divine bodies, God-King body. The different levels of gods naturally had differences in the strength of their physiques. With the amount of divine energy in his divine ring that was comparable to a grade 2 deity's divine body, even if there was some other consumption, in addition to Lu Yuan's special constitution, it would not be a problem for him to forge a grade 3 divine body. However, the problem was that Lu Yuan's absorption ability was limited. He could not absorb all the energy in the divine ring, so forging a divine body was still a little difficult. However, it was still possible for him to take another step forward from the demigod body. Furthermore, due to the special nature of Lu Yuan's bloodline, if he took another step forward, even if he did not become a divine body, the strength of his physique would be comparable to a Class 3 divine body. It might even be a little stronger. It cannot be helped. After all, the Golden Dragon bloodline was the best at physical strength. Furthermore, Lu Yuan's bloodline had evolved, so his physique was much stronger than the Golden Dragon's. When the divine ring's energy swept through Lu Yuan's body, part of it entered his sea of consciousness. Origin divine power was the most profound and had many uses. What was origin divine power? Was it just the sole power of a god? No. Origin divine power was similar to a special energy that combined essence, energy, and spirit. It was also because of this that it was extremely useful for the body, soul power, and even spiritual power. It was the purest form of energy. Lu Yuan's current sea of consciousness could truly be called a sea. The area was incomparably vast and was very stable. The clear air god seed was high up in the sky, emitting a white light. Now that Lu Yuan had comprehended a part of the clear air god seed, the divine power it emitted became denser. In the sky, a five-clawed golden dragon with a pair of wings on its back roared towards the sky, rolling and rolling in the clouds formed by the divine power. Compared to the original golden dragon, the current five-clawed golden dragon king was much more willful. Other than the spirit of the god-slaying spear martial spirit that was stuck on the Black Mountain, it wasn't afraid of anyone in the sea of consciousness. It even dared to roar in front of the clear chi divine seed. It tossed and turned all over the sea of consciousness happily. The golden divine ring's energy surged into his sea of knowledge and began to transform it. The white light scattered, and the clear energy protected Lu Yuan's sea of consciousness, ensuring that it would not be damaged. Above the sea of consciousness, waves rolled, and the area of the sea of consciousness began to expand again. At the same time, Lu Yuan's spiritual power began to strengthen again. His spiritual power was originally stuck at the half-step limit realm. Now, with the help of the divine ring's origin divine power, his spiritual power was able to advance to the next level, completely entering the limit realm. Lu Yuan's entire body was rapidly transforming. In the outside world, Gu Yuna's spiritual power swept out, paying close attention to the situation in Lu Yuan's body. If Lu Yuan couldn't bear it, she would immediately control the remaining energy and seal it. It was very difficult to do this, but for Gu Yuna, whose spiritual power was now #1 in the world, it wasn't a problem. The sky darkened, and then the sun rose again. A day's time slipped away just like that. Seeing Lu Yuan's gradually frown, Gu Yuna knew that the divine power in Lu Yuan's body had reached saturation. With a thought, Gu Yuna waved her hand and scattered a silver light. She forcefully controlled it with her spiritual power and gathered the remaining energy in Lu Yuan's body. After Lu Yuan's absorption, the original 6 layers of divine power had been consumed by 4 layers. There were still 2 layers left. Gu Yuna guided the 2 layers of origin divine power into Lu Yuan's golden dragon right arm bone, and then sealed it layer by layer. After doing all this, Gu Yuna looked at Lu Yuan, who was digesting the divine power and slowly transforming, and couldn't help but smile. After the condensation of the divine ring today, Lu Yuan's foundation to become a god had been completely laid. It would be much easier for him to become a god in the future. Absorb slowly, there's no need to rush. Gu Yuna softly muttered, then found a place to sit down. She rested her chin on her jade-like hand, and her purple eyes stared unblinkingly at Lu Yuan. Now that Lu Yuan's absorption of the origin divine power had reached saturation, what was left was to completely transform this divine power into his own. This process was undoubtedly very time-consuming. The red sun rose from the east and set in the west. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. Ever since Lu Yuan had started cultivating, this was the longest time he had ever spent absorbing a soul ring. Of course, it was also the time he had reaped the most benefits. The undulations of divine power on Lu Yuan's body were extremely faint. This meant that the origin divine power in his body had basically been completely transformed into his own. In its place, Lu Yuan's aura was many times stronger than before. On his body, the golden dragon armor shone brightly. It was also golden, but there was an additional aura that was similar to the golden dragon spear. It was the aura of a divine weapon. Under the effect of the golden dragon's origin divine power, This external soul bone that Lu Yuan relied on the most had already entered the realm of a divine weapon. It had become a god-tier soul bone. Although it was only an ordinary divine weapon that had just entered the realm of a divine weapon, it was still a divine weapon. An ordinary 100,000-year soul bone couldn't compare to it. Although the Atlas palm bone and the dark golden terraclaw right palm bone hadn't reached the realm of a divine weapon, they were far superior to ordinary 100,000-year soul bones. 2 layers of origin divine power had raised the 3 external soul bones to a very high level. If the changes in the golden dragon armor couldn't be seen if one didn't look closely, the changes in the soul rings were very direct. Apart from his 7th soul ring, Lu Yuan's original soul rings were black, 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 and red. Now Lu Yuan's soul rings were red, 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 and red. Furthermore, every single one of them was blood red, and there were 5 golden patterns on them. The 2 layers of the golden dragon's origin divine power didn't raise any of his soul rings to 1,000,000 years. However, it raised the age of all 6 soul rings to 500,000 years. What a huge increase! The deterrence brought by these 6 soul rings was immense. Putting everything else aside, just releasing these soul rings was enough to shock everyone. Chapter 851. The transformation of his external soul bone had been completed, and the increase in the age of his soul rings had also come to an end. All that was left was Lu Yuan himself. The transformation of his soul rings and external soul bone had consumed 4 layers of his origin divine power. 2 layers of origin divine power were sealed in his golden dragon right arm bone, so there were 4 layers of origin divine power left in Lu Yuan's body. This energy caused Lu Yuan to undergo a huge transformation. The undulations of his divine power gradually weakened until they completely disappeared. Lu Yuan's aura became stronger and stronger. Suddenly, Lu Yuan opened his eyes. A strong wave of energy swept out, and everything in the room was instantly destroyed. Lu Yuan roared into the sky. His 7th soul ring shone, and a 100-meter-long divine dragon burst through the roof. In the blink of an eye, it was already in midair. Seeing this, Gu Yuna's figure flashed, and she was outside the room. She lifted her head slightly and looked into the sky. In midair, a 5-clawed golden dragon with a pair of wings on its back was spiraling. It exuded a bright golden light. Its slender body shone with golden light, as if it were forged from gold. Its wings flapped slightly, and a strong gust of wind was whipped up in midair. The divine dragon rose again and directly entered the clouds. Its body was revealed in the clouds. The 5-clawed golden dragon opened its mouth slightly and let out a loud dragon's roar. Suddenly, the dragon's roar, which contained a strong dragon's might, reverberated throughout the entire martial soul palace. In the angel temple, Sendoryu and the other consecrated were discussing some matters. They were shaken by this dragon's roar, and their expressions changed. Even Sendoryu's eyes were filled with a strange look. "Elder brother, what's this?" After hearing this dragon's roar, the golden crocodile was shocked. He only felt his martial soul tremble, and he couldn't help but ask, "It's that little rascal. He'd become a soul sage." Sendoryu gently stroked his beard and said, "Are you talking about Obu Chi?" the golden crocodile asked. "Other than him, who else has such a terrifying dragon might?" Listening to this voice, he has improved quite a bit this time. Sendoryu said, "The Holy Sun has become a soul sage." Listening to Sendoryu's words, many consecrated elders couldn't help but be surprised. If they remember correctly, Lu Yuan was only 16 years old this year, a few months away from 17 years old. A 16-year-old soul sage TSK. Comparisons were odious. What were their levels when they were 16 years old? Had he arrived at the soul divine sect? That seemed to be the case. The difference between a soul ancestor and a soul sage was simply too great. Are you guys going to stay here, or come with me to take a look? I have a premonition that this kid is really going to ascend to the heavens this time. Second brother, You might not be able to beat this kid. Sindoryu said. Hee hee, I've been prepared for this for a long time. This kid will surpass me sooner or later. The stronger he is, the better. He is the holy son of our martial soul palace, the next pope. Golden Crocodile chuckled. Indeed, the stronger this kid is, the better. Do you guys want to go take a look? Sindoryu asked again. Of course, the Holy Son has made such a huge breakthrough. We would also like to see his heroic figure. The consecrated elders said. Then let's go. We'll be back soon. Sindoryu said indifferently. With such a huge commotion, even Sindoryu was alarmed, let alone BB Dawn and the others. They all came to Lu Yuan's seclusion place and stood not far away from Guyuna. Such a strong aura. This kid is almost catching up to me. If he doesn't use his full strength, I might not be able to beat him. The kid from back then has finally grown to such a level. He always said that he would protect me. Now he has the ability to do so. BB Dawn sighed inwardly as she looked at the divine dragon dancing in the clouds. She wore a smile on her face, and her eyes were filled with gentleness. Hulina and Zhu Zhuqing's eyes were also filled with radiance, and their faces were filled with pride. This was their man. Master has finally reached this stage. With Master's current strength and the suppression of his bloodline, I can't beat him anymore. Long Xiaoyao's figure appeared, and he couldn't help but sigh as he looked at the roaring five-clawed golden dragon king. Although he was at his limit, Lu Yuan's bloodline suppressed him too much. He couldn't unleash his original strength in front of Lu Yuan. In addition to Lu Yuan's rapid improvement, he couldn't beat Lu Yuan in a one-on-one fight. Little brother's aura has far surpassed mine. Ma Xiaotao blinked her red eyes, and there was a complicated look in her eyes. Ever since she was summoned, she had been following Lu Yuan and protecting him. However, Lu Yuan didn't need her protection now. She couldn't help but feel a little conflicted. I can't compare to Master's might. Master's path to invincibility is about to begin. Jing Hongchun said softly. Long Xiaoyao and Ma Xiaotao couldn't help but nod their heads when they heard his words. Lu Yuan had already soared to new heights. The five-clawed golden dragon king circled in the clouds and roared. Waves of draconic aura filled the sky. Suddenly, the majestic divine dragon plunged down from the clouds and dived downwards. The divine dragon was extremely quick, and it reached the ground in no time. The 100-meter-long dragon body appeared to be so huge. The dragon's tail swept slightly, bringing with it an extremely terrifying power. A gentle look flashed across the divine dragon's eyes as it looked at the few familiar figures on the ground. It increased its speed once again. Just as it was about to reach the ground, golden light flashed, and the golden divine dragon dissipated. It was replaced by Lu Yuan's familiar figure in white. He landed gently, and Guyuna was right in front of him. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Lu Yuan opened his arms and pulled Guyuna into his arms. It wasn't that he liked to show off his affection in front of others. It was just that he was too excited and couldn't control himself. Only he knew how much he had gained this time. First, he was a rank 70 Soul Emperor, with a divine ring and the god-ranked golden dragon right arm bone. His soul power had increased by 7 ranks. He was now a rank 77 Soul Sage. Next, he had his constitution. If he was a demigod before, he was now a pseudo-god. A pseudo-god was only a step away from becoming a true god. Once he advanced half a step further, he would become a rank 3 god. Lu Yuan was a pseudo-god now, and he was as strong as a rank 3 god. Next was his spiritual power. His spiritual power had also improved a lot, and he was now at the ultimate level. With his spiritual power at the ultimate level and his netherworld light, few people in the world could resist his spiritual attacks. There are also soul rings and external soul bones. This time, Lu Yuan's gains were unimaginable. All of this had to do with the woman in his embrace. Without her, Lu Yuan wouldn't have gained all of this. Therefore, Lu Yuan hugged her emotionally. Chapter 852. Thank you for your hard work, Nar. Lu Yuan said in a gentle voice as he gently rubbed his right cheek against Gu Yuna's cheek. It's nothing, as long as you're doing well. Gu Yuna's red lips parted slightly, and her pleasant voice sounded. Lu Yuan smiled slightly and gently moved his head to kiss Gu Yuna's cherry lips. They were soft to the touch, and there was a faint fragrance to them. Lu Yuan was immediately intoxicated. This guy really started doing bad things as soon as he came out of seclusion. Hulaina pouted her small mouth and muttered, Stinky Obuchi, he likes the new and hates the old. He's so bad. He only knows how to get close to Gu Yuna. He can even kiss me. Hulina grumbled in her heart. It seems like he can't control himself this time. Gu Yuna must have helped him a lot with her 7th soul ring. Otherwise, he wouldn't only be so close to Gu Yuna with the 3 of us standing here. Bibidon blinked her pink eyes as she spoke softly. After all, she was much more experienced than Hulina and the others, so she had a deeper understanding of this aspect. Obuchi's martial soul true body was so terrifying just now. My martial soul was trembling. My martial soul wasn't as strong as his in the past, but I didn't feel this way. However, the gap between us seems to be so huge that it's terrifying. Zhu Zhuqing spoke lightly, and her clear and cold voice carried a trace of trembling. Lu Yuan's piercingly cold divine might from before had left a deep impression on her. Indeed, my martial soul was trembling as well. Hulina couldn't help but agree after hearing Zhu Zhuqing's words. Just now, her 9-tailed heavenly fox martial soul had also been completely suppressed, and she had felt like crawling on the ground. This little bastard's martial spirit has already reached an unimaginable level. I was also suppressed by it just now. It seems like as long as it's a beast martial spirit, it will be completely suppressed by him. Bibidon said in an indifferent voice. The evolved 5-clawed golden dragon king was definitely the strongest beast soul in the history of the Douluo continent. Any beast soul possessor could only tremble in fear when they encountered him. If it wasn't for the fact that they were much stronger than him, it would be very difficult for them to even retaliate under his oppressive might. Someone's coming. Bibidon had just finished speaking when suddenly a wave of fluctuation caught her attention. She glanced over and saw a group of people landing on the island in the middle of the lake not far away. Sendoryu? What is this old man doing here? Could it be because of Obuchi? Recalling Lu Yuan's 5-clawed golden dragon king roar into the sky, Bibidong had a rough idea of what was going on and felt that he was close to the mark. Why is the head consecrated here? Bibidon's actions also attracted the attention of Ulina and Zhu Zhuqing. The 2 of them tilted their heads and just happened to see Sendoryu's group. Sendoryu stepped onto the island in the middle of the lake. This was Bibidon's residence. He rarely came here, but today he couldn't hold back his curiosity and set foot here. Behind him were the golden crocodile, Qianjun demon, subduing, and the other consecrators. Where is Obuchi? Sendoryu muttered. His gaze swept over a large circle and finally found Lu Yuan's figure. His face immediately darkened. What did he just see? This stinking brat actually kissed another girl so openly in front of so many people. He was simply out of control. Although he also agreed that Lu Yuan had several wives, as Chihiro Snow's grandfather, it would be strange if he was happy to see such a scene. However, his thoughts clearly didn't affect Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan was kissing very happily. Kissing Gu Yuna felt wonderful. Releasing Gu Yuna's cherry lips, Lu Yuan and her looked at each other closely. Both of their eyes were filled with deep affection. Xiao Yuan, you already have a false god body and a divine ring. As long as you can absorb the divine origin energy sealed in the right arm bone of the golden dragon, you'll be able to completely transform into a divine body, Jian Wushuang said to Xiao Yuan. Gazing at Lu Yuan, Gu Yuna softly said, And I know. However, I have just completed my transformation and still need some time to adapt to this huge change. I need to completely digest and control this sudden increase in strength before I can think about other things. Otherwise, blindly being greedy is not good. Lu Yuan said. He placed the most importance on his foundation. This increase in soul power by 7 ranks was actually the result of him suppressing it. Otherwise, with such powerful energy, it was very likely that he could have reached rank 79. That might seem very impressive, but in the long run, the disadvantages outweighed the advantages. A skyscraper was built from the ground, and the most important thing was the foundation. Thus, every step had to be taken as steadily as possible. Indeed, you have made great progress this time. You need to take some time to consolidate it. Gu Yuna nodded in agreement with Lu Yuan's words. With her foresight, she naturally understood the importance of a foundation. No, this time, I have completely inherited the second golden dragon's everything, right? After a moment of silence, Lu Yuan softly said, in the beginning, he had inherited the bloodline of the second-generation golden dragon. But now, he had completely absorbed the second-generation golden dragon's divine core and soul bone. He had completely taken over the second-generation golden dragon's entire body. Gu Yuna was slightly taken aback. Then, she nodded slightly. And yes, since I have inherited everything from it, I will bear the responsibility that it has passed on to me. Leave the future of soul beasts to me. Lu Yuan spoke softly. At this moment, Lu Yuan really wanted to do something for soul beasts and the dragon clan from the bottom of his heart. It wasn't like before, when he did it to repay his debt and for Gu Yuna and Wang Qiao. Although he wouldn't kill soul beasts indiscriminately, he didn't really treat them as one of his own. However, this time he was sincere. I'll leave it to you then. Gu Yuna seemed to have sensed the change in Lu Yuan's mentality. At this moment, she was exceptionally happy. She knew that Lu Yuan's last bit of barrier towards soul beasts had disappeared. From now on, he could truly treat both soul beasts and humans with the same benevolence. This was undoubtedly something that Gu Yuna was very happy about. She also sincerely hoped that Lu Yuan would truly acknowledge soul beasts. Lu Yuan smiled when he saw Gu Yuna's smile. He lowered his head slightly and touched Gu Yuna's forehead. Nah, don't resist. I'll pass something to you. Lu Yuan's voice sounded. Okay. Gu Yuna acknowledged softly. With a thought, a spot of golden light emerged from Lu Yuan's forehead and entered Gu Yuna's mind. This spot of golden light was the cultivation method of the True Dragon Claw. Although the True Dragon Claw was only one of the moves of the True Dragon Treasured skill, the cultivation method was very complicated. Although Lu Yuan had comprehended it from his own bloodline, he had only just grasped the basics. This time, besides the cultivation method, he also passed some of his own understanding of cultivation to Gu Yuna. This could help Gu Yuna grasp the basics quickly. Chapter 853. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been so easy for Gu Yuna to learn the True Dragon Claw, even if she had great spiritual power and good comprehension skills. True Dragon Claw, what a powerful offensive technique. Gu Yuna was stunned as she sensed the cultivation method of the True Dragon Claw that Lu Yuan had imparted to her. No matter how exaggerated it was, it couldn't compare to experiencing it for herself. After experiencing it for herself, she realized how strong this claw technique was. If she could master it, she wouldn't have a problem fighting above her level. Lu Yuan was not lying when he said that she could take on the Azura deity who had the strongest attack. Take your time to cultivate it. When you master the True Dragon Claw and return to your original level, your fighting strength will be impressive. Lu Yuan said softly. Okay. Gu Yuna acknowledged softly. She looked at Lu Yuan with a gentle gaze. Lu Yuan smiled and let go of Gu Yuna's waist. He held her snow-white hair and walked towards Bibi Don and the others. His spiritual power was now at the level of a limit Douluo. He had already sensed Sindoryu and the others' arrival. However, he couldn't be bothered with them because he was having a good time kissing them. As for why they were here, it probably had something to do with the roar of his 5-clawed golden dragon King Truebody. That roar was extremely powerful, and it reverberated throughout the entire Martial Soul Palace. However, since they were here, he had to meet them. Furthermore, he had just broken through, and was a little itchy to fight them. Sindoryu was a good opponent. He couldn't defeat Gu Yuna, and he couldn't bear to lay his hands on Bibi Dong. Long Xiaoyao was a dragon, and he was suppressed by him. He couldn't detect his true abilities, and only the 1,000 Dao stream was suitable for him. Lu Yuan and Gu Yuna walked side by side. Anyone who saw them couldn't help but praise them. They were a match made in heaven. Grandpa, Golden Crocodile. Lu Yuan nodded at Bibi Don and the others, then greeted Sindoryu and Golden Crocodile. Gu Yuna was right beside him, and she didn't have any stage fright in the face of everyone's gazes. Among Lu Yuan's women, only Bibi Don could be compared with Gu Yuna. Gu Yuna was never shy in the face of other people's gazes. The only one who could make her shy was Lu Yuan, unlike Chihiro Snow and Bibi Don, who rarely got close to Lu Yuan in public. Perhaps this had something to do with the fact that Gu Yuna was a soul beast. She never knew how to hide her love, and her love was very pure and sincere. Love was love. She didn't want to think about other things. Other people's opinions and views couldn't affect her at all. Lu Yuan liked this about her very much. We pay our respects to you, Your Highness. The worshippers of the Holy Hall all greeted Lu Yuan upon seeing him. Sindoryu looked at Gu Yuna, who was holding hands with Lu Yuan, and couldn't help but ask, "Oh, Bu Chi, who is this?" "Gu Yuna, my girlfriend. Cher has seen her before," Lu Yuan replied in a soft voice. 1,000 Dao, Lu's body stiffened when he heard this. Was this the Gu Yuna that Qianren Shue had mentioned before, who was more powerful than an ultimate Douluo? Sindoryu appraised Gu Yuna. Gu Yuna's purple eyes lit up slightly, and Sendoryu's entire body shuddered as his pupils contracted slightly. Just then, he had sensed an extremely powerful burst of pressure, and this pressure had come from Gu Yuna. As expected, she was an extremely powerful being. She was so powerful that killing him would be as easy as blowing off dust. I don't know how Lu Yuan managed to woo such a powerful being. It's really a good method. Sindoryu sighed in his heart. Sindoryu's gaze turned to Lu Yuan, and his eyes narrowed slightly. Even though he had felt that Lu Yuan had improved a lot in the Angel Temple, he only realized that he had still underestimated Lu Yuan after seeing him in person today. He could even faintly feel a sense of threat from Lu Yuan's aura. This undoubtedly shocked him. Even the golden alligator Douluo did not give him such a feeling. This kid in front of him was definitely far stronger than the golden alligator. "Obuchi, what rank are you now?" As Lu Yuan's physique had transformed into a quasi-god physique, even Sindoryu couldn't sense his true strength without revealing his soul power. "Rank 77 Soul Sage," Lu Yuan said with a faint smile. "Rank 77 as soon as you broke through?" Sindoryu's expression changed slightly, and the golden crocodile and the others couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. This was the first time they had heard of such a huge increase in soul power. Rank 77? Obuchi's 7th soul ring is definitely very old. Bibi Don was astonished to hear this, and she couldn't help but exclaim softly. Earlier, Lu Yuan had directly used his 5-clawed golden dragon king true body, so Bibi Don hadn't seen Lu Yuan's soul ring. But from the fact that Lu Yuan had risen 7 ranks, she could speculate that Lu Yuan's 7th soul ring was at least 500,000 years old. However, Bibi Don was wrong. Lu Yuan's 7th soul ring was even more exaggerated than she had imagined. It was a true divine ring, as expected of the successor of the divine king. Truly extraordinary. "Obuchi, are you interested in playing with Grandpa?" Sindoryu looked at Lu Yuan with a trace of interest in his eyes. He really wanted to know how strong Lu Yuan was now. Lu Yuan opened his mouth, and just as he was about to reply, the golden crocodile's voice rang out. "Big brother, let me do it. I haven't seen Obuchi's strength for many years. Let me see how much he has grown over the years. Do you have any objections, Obuchi?" "Of course not. It won't be too late to play with Grandpa Golden Crocodile first," Lu Yuan said softly with a smile. "You little brat." Golden Crocodile couldn't help but smile. Lu Yuan's words meant that it wouldn't take much effort to defeat him. This little brat's tone was getting more and more arrogant. But with his progress, although his tone was arrogant, it was understandable. After all, He was young and frivolous. He was also young once, and he knew that geniuses had their own pride. It didn't matter if they were arrogant, as long as they were strong enough. Therefore, he wasn't angry at Lu Yuan's words. Instead, he secretly hoped that Lu Yuan could really defeat him. He really hoped that Lu Yuan could become stronger, whether it was out of consideration for the Martial Soul Palace or out of his own feelings. Grandpa Golden Crocodile, let's start. To be honest, I'm really curious about my current strength. Lu Yuan smiled faintly. Sure, let's fight on the lake, so that we don't ruin this place. Golden Crocodile said. Of course, Lu Yuan said softly. Even if Golden Crocodile didn't say it, he would still do it. The island in the middle of the lake was where he, BB Dawn, and the other girls lived. He didn't want to destroy this place. Follow me then. As he spoke, the golden alligator Doa's figure flashed as he flew towards the surface of the lake. Seeing this, a golden light flashed under Lu Yuan's feet, and he quickly followed. Chapter 854. The two of them were extremely quick, and they reached the surface of the lake in no time. The two of them were more than 10 meters apart as they stepped on the surface of the lake. For the two of them, walking on water was nothing out of the ordinary. Lu Yuan and Huo Yuhao faced each other in the air, while BB Dawn and the rest moved to the lakeside to watch the battle. The Golden Crocodile had been famous for a long time. When he was young, he had shocked the entire continent. Now he was a rank 98 Douluo, and his abilities were absolutely terrifying. Even BB Dawn, who couldn't use his full strength, didn't dare to say that he could defeat him. While Lu Yuan was young, he was a monster that exceeded the imagination of ordinary people. No one dared to underestimate him because of his aura. Therefore, Sendoryu and BB Dawn were more optimistic about Lu Yuan. Rank 98 isn't bad, but he's no match for Obuchi. With the foundation of his divine ring and his false god body, the current Obuchi is invincible under limit Douluo, Gu Yuhao said softly. She had the highest cultivation level, and her eyesight was the strongest. This battle hadn't even begun, but she could already see the outcome. Obuchi, don't hold back. You don't have to purposely give Grandpa Golden Crocodile face. Let Grandpa Golden Crocodile see your true abilities. Above the lake, the Golden Crocodile looked at Lu Yuan and said softly. All right. After a moment of silence, Lu Yuan said plainly. He had originally planned to hold back a little. After all, the Golden Crocodile was his elder, and he had taught him since he was young. Naturally, he didn't want him to lose so badly. However, since the Golden Crocodile had said this, he didn't have to purposely hold back anymore. Otherwise, he would make the Golden Crocodile angry. Then let's begin, the Golden Crocodile shouted loudly. Vigorous soul power surged from his body, and his martial soul was instantly attached to his body. It was a huge golden crocodile. Its two front legs were thick and short, but it was extremely majestic. Its long golden tail swayed gently, full of power. Especially that bloody mouth, it was full of deterrence. The Golden Crocodile King was a top-tier martial spirit. With his martial soul attached to his body, the Golden Crocodile's palms turned into crocodile paws, and a layer of golden crocodile skin covered his body. Under the Golden Crocodile's body, 9 yellow, purple, black, and red soul rings rose up. As the second consecrator of the Martial Soul Palace, he also had a 100,000-year soul ring. In the world of Fighting One, anyone who possessed a 100,000-year soul ring was a true powerhouse, and the Golden Crocodile was undoubtedly one of them. Seems like Second Brother is serious, but I'm afraid he's still going to lose. This brat isn't simple. Looking at the Golden Crocodile's appearance, Sendoryu couldn't help but sigh softly. Just as he finished speaking, a huge change occurred on the surface of the lake again. Feeling the aura from the Golden Crocodile's body, Lu Yuan smiled faintly. With a thought, his 5-clawed Golden Dragon King martial soul was attached to his body. A dragon's roar resounded, and a boundless and terrifying dragon's aura permeated the air. The Golden Crocodile, who was facing Lu Yuan, was immediately affected. His body trembled, and the golden light from the golden crocodile king dimmed significantly. His martial soul was being suppressed, and it was being suppressed very miserably. Dragon wings flapped slightly, and the soul rings below Lu Yuan's body began to rise slowly. Red, 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 and gold, 7 soul rings appeared on the spot. Suddenly, a strong aura with Lu Yuan as the center quickly spread in all directions. What's this soul ring combination? Seeing Lu Yuan's soul rings, Bibidon was shocked. Shouldn't Obuchi's soul rings be black, 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 red, and red? Why are they red, 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 and gold? Is it all because of her? Bibidon couldn't help but look at Guyuna. Sindoryu and the others didn't know as much as Bibidon. Seeing Lu Yuan's soul rings, even these lofty titled Douluo couldn't help but open their mouths in shock. What's the class of that golden soul ring? Why does it have a soul ring of that color? Hulina was also shocked. However, she had blind faith in Lu Yuan and believed that he was omnipotent, so she was the first to react. 100,000-year soul ring is red. A savage beast's soul ring is red with golden patterns. A golden soul ring is the color of a 1,000,000-year soul beast's soul ring. Guyuna said indifferently. Doesn't that mean Obuchi's 7th soul ring is at least a 1,000,000-year soul ring? Hulina said involuntarily. Of course. Guyuna nodded lightly. A divine ring was naturally above a 1,000,000-year soul ring. As soon as these words came out, the people who had not completely recovered from the shock fell into shock once again. A 1,000,000-year 7th soul ring. He's going to ascend to the heavens. Second brother will definitely lose within 10 moves. Sindoryu said indifferently as his eyes narrowed. Lu Yuan's aura had reached the peak of his strength, and the golden crocodile's martial soul was suppressed. With the two combined, the golden crocodile wouldn't be able to last more than 10 moves. Hearing Sindoryu's words, the consecrators in the consecration hall couldn't help but secretly click their tongues. They naturally didn't doubt Sindoryu's words. It was precisely because of this that they were even more amazed. How could there be a monster like Lu Yuan in this world that transcended common sense? Compared to him, these people were really living like dogs. Grandpa Golden Crocodile, be careful, Lu Yuan said softly. His body moved, and he struck out with his palm. Suddenly, a dragon's roar reverberated, and 6 dazzling 5-clawed golden dragons spiraled directly towards the golden crocodile. It was one of his self-created bloodline soul ring skills, riding 6 dragons. The golden dragons roared, bringing with them a biting cold aura. Waves of air rolled in the air, and the lake beneath the golden crocodile fluctuated violently due to the pressure. The attack hadn't arrived yet, but the aura was already overwhelming. Come at me. The golden crocodile laughed, and the 5th soul ring on his body lit up. The golden crocodile claws suddenly enlarged and directly slapped towards the 6 whistling 5-clawed golden dragons. Bang! The golden crocodile claws collided with the 5-clawed golden dragons, and there was a huge explosion of energy. The golden crocodile claws destroyed 3 of the 5-clawed golden dragons, while the remaining 3 collided with the golden crocodile's body. Suddenly, the golden crocodile's body was slapped into the water, and the water splashed dozens of meters high. One slap, just one slap, and Lu Yuan sent the golden crocodile, whose soul power was at rank 98, flying. What? Seeing this scene, the consecrated elders on the shore were stunned. What happened to the battle that they were talking about? The golden crocodile was defeated so quickly? What are you thinking about? The battle isn't over yet. That move can't hurt second brother. However, this fellow is stronger than I expected. Sindoryu said softly, and his eyes flashed with a bright light. Just as Sindoryu finished speaking, the water splashed everywhere, and the golden crocodile's figure directly rushed out of the water. Chapter 855. The golden crocodile was drenched from head to toe, and water droplets were dripping down his sturdy body. He looked at Lu Yuan with a grave expression. One move, just one move, and he was sent flying. Obuchi's strength was unfathomable. He had to use his true abilities. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to last more than a few moves. He was certain to lose. He already had a premonition, and he didn't mind losing. However, he wanted to know how strong Lu Yuan was now. The golden crocodile roared towards the sky, and his eighth soul ring lit up. His long tail was filled with barbs, and he swung it towards Lu Yuan. This tail swing caused space to explode, and it created a series of explosions. It whistled through the air as it attacked Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan smiled faintly as he looked at the incoming golden crocodile tail. He didn't have any intention of dodging. He raised his left arm, clenched his left fist, and punched out. A burst of energy fluctuation came from his left arm, and a huge Titan giant ape phantom pounced at the incoming tail. One of the 100,000-year soul bone skills, Titan Sky Shaker. Self-created, don't investigate. Boom! The huge Titan giant ape shadow pounced on the huge golden crocodile tail. They were both tyrannical strength-type attacks, so they created a huge commotion from start. The energy exploded, and the lake was blasted into dozens of meters of water. Lu Yuan moved his feet and dodged the water. The golden crocodile Douluo was sent flying once again by that punch. He retreated more than 100 meters on the lake's surface before he stabilized himself. The golden crocodile king's martial soul relied on strength to win. It was a very powerful assault-type martial soul. It was a pity that he met Lu Yuan, who was the strongest of the strongest. He would only lose faster if they competed in strength. The soul bone skill of the 100,000-year Titan giant ape wasn't considered a very powerful offensive skill to the current Lu Yuan. However, it was enough to deal with the golden crocodile. Grandpa Golden Crocodile, use your martial soul true body. Otherwise, you won't be able to take more than a few punches from me. You might even be severely injured. That was one of my weakest soul bone skills. Lu Yuan spoke softly, and his indifferent voice spread out. He wasn't lying. The 100,000-year Titan giant ape soul bone skill was already the weakest soul skill he possessed. After his soul rings reached 500,000 years of age, his various soul skills also became much more powerful. He didn't dare to use such a soul skill on the golden crocodile. After all, he was already so old, and it wouldn't be good if he was injured. The golden crocodile was very good to him, and he could not do such a thing. All right, golden crocodile, king true body. After hearing Lu Yuan's words, the golden crocodile wasn't angry at all. Instead, he acknowledged his words and immediately activated his seventh soul skill, Martial Soul True Body. The Martial Soul True Body was always one of the Soul Master's strongest soul skills. Sometimes, even a titled Douluo's ninth soul skill might not be as powerful as the Martial Soul True Body. Golden light flashed, and the golden crocodile's figure disappeared. What replaced? It was a huge golden crocodile that was 60 to 70 meters long. Its body was thick and ferocious, and its body was covered with ferocious barbs. Its sharp teeth flashed with cold light, and this golden crocodile exuded an extremely powerful aura. That's more like it. Lu Yuan smiled faintly. His second soul ring shone with blood-red light as he activated his golden dragon war body. He was immune to control, and this was a godly skill that strengthened his defense. After his soul rings increased in age, their effects became even more frightening. Lu Yuan only needed to use his second defensive soul skill to fight the golden crocodile. He didn't even need to use his offensive soul skills, because he had too many offensive soul skills. As he looked at the huge golden crocodile, Lu Yuan raised his fist and charged forward. There was a kind of battle that was called fist to flesh. This was the romance of strength, and Lu Yuan loved this kind of battle the most. The two of them used the lake as their battlefield. The lake water splashed everywhere, and a thin layer of mist rose from the lake's surface. Sky-propping pinnacle. Lu Yuan's left palm shone with black light as he activated his sky-propping palm bone. His fist, which shone with black light, struck the body of the golden crocodile that was 60 to 70 meters long. Compared to the size of this crocodile, Lu Yuan was like a slightly bigger ant. However, Lu Yuan, who was only the size of an ant, unleashed boundless strength after his fist landed, and the huge golden crocodile was sent flying into the water. This time, the lake's surface was completely blown up, and the center of the lake was forcefully broken open, revealing a huge hole. The lake water flowed in, and the remaining force caused the ground by the shore to tremble. Second brother has been defeated in 9 moves. I was right. This kid already possesses the ultimate fighting strength. Sendoryu spoke softly. Only someone with the ultimate fighting strength could defeat a rank 98 peak Douluo in 9 moves. Even though Lu Yuan's martial soul had a slight advantage, he could tell that Lu Yuan had suppressed a lot of his strength. Lu Yuan's true strength had already reached the ultimate level. There was no doubt about that. Ultimate fighting strength. The consecrated couldn't help but open their mouths. The scene in front of them had really shocked them. Sendoryu's words before the battle had come true. The golden crocodile had gone all out, but he was still defeated so miserably. He only lasted 9 moves and didn't even last 10 moves. What about them? They probably couldn't even last 2 moves. The Holy Sun was so terrifying. Little rascal, you did well. Bibi Dong muttered to herself. Even though she had already expected this before the battle, when she saw the result, she couldn't help but feel proud of Lu Yuan from the bottom of her heart. This little man had really grown up and soared into the sky. Lu Yuan slowly retracted his left fist above the lake surface. After the battle, his clothes were still neat and tidy, without the slightest bit of mess. He had been suppressing the golden crocodile throughout the entire battle. The golden crocodile's golden crocodile king true body was actually very violent. However, he was undoubtedly even more violent now. He didn't know how much strength he had now, but it was undoubtedly close to 1,000,000 pounds. A casual punch from him would have an extremely terrifying attack power. Even though the golden crocodile had activated his martial soul true body, it was still difficult for him to resist such an attack. The golden crocodile finally couldn't hold on any longer after the 9th move, and he was defeated. With his hands behind his back, Lu Yuan quietly looked at the lake surface. Even though his attack was terrifying, he had actually held back a lot. Even though the golden crocodile had been defeated, his injuries weren't serious. His polychoria moved slightly. He could sense that there was a figure coming up from the depths of the lake. The lake's surface split open, and the golden crocodile's figure appeared. His robes were a little tattered, and there was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. However, there was a faint smile on his face. Chapter 856. Obuchi, you've finally grown up. Grandpa Golden Crocodile is very pleased. A warm smile appeared on the golden alligator Douluo's face as he looked at Lu Yuan. As the saying goes, each new generation excels the previous one. Lu Yuan, whom he had once taught, had already surpassed him by far. In terms of strength, he had even entered the limit domain. However, he wasn't disappointed. Instead, he was very pleased. This was because not only did he treat Lu Yuan as a successor, but he also treated Lu Yuan as his own grandson. He was truly happy that Lu Yuan could achieve what he had today. Grandpa Golden Crocodile, I'm sorry for offending you, Lu Yuan said apologetically as he looked at the trace of blood at the corner of Golden Crocodile's mouth. Even though he had held back, a battle was still a battle. There were bound to be clashes. Moreover, if he hadn't used a little bit of his true strength, he wouldn't have been able to defeat Golden Crocodile. It's not your fault. This is a battle. Grandpa Golden Crocodile's injuries aren't serious. I'll be fine in 2 days. Don't worry. Golden Crocodile smiled. Okay. Lu Yuan nodded after hearing Golden Crocodile's words. Obuchi, since I've lost, let the head priest fight with you. He's much stronger than me. You have to give it your all and don't hold back. Otherwise, you'll lose miserably. The golden alligator Douluo instructed. Yes, I'll remember that, Lu Yuan replied. He naturally wouldn't underestimate Sendoryu. The reason why he was able to defeat Golden Crocodile in 9 moves was because of the suppression of his martial soul. Golden Crocodile was rank 98, but in front of him, he could only display the strength of a rank 97 martial soul. Sindoryu was different. Although the quality of his 6-winged angel martial soul wasn't as good as his 5-clawed Golden Dragon King, it wasn't enough to suppress his martial soul. Human-shaped martial souls were the most special. They could be classified as beast martial souls, but they were different from beast martial souls. Therefore, Sindoryu could unleash his full strength against him. An ordinary person wouldn't be able to imagine how strong an ultimate Douluo was. Lu Yuan didn't dare to be careless. His strength had improved significantly, but that didn't mean that he was arrogant. He had never underestimated an ultimate Douluo. After the Golden Crocodile left the lake, Sindoryu's body, and arrived in front of Lu, the two of them faced each other. Little Yuan, you're not bad. You're still hiding a lot of strength. Your true strength has already entered the limit domain. Sindoryu looked at Lu Yuan with a hint of admiration. Lu Yuan was a rank 77 soul sage, but his fighting strength was already in the ultimate Douluo. Even in his many years of experience, he had only seen one person like this. Although my aura is comparable to an ultimate Douluo, it's still not as strong as Grandpa's. There's also a gap between ultimate Douluo and Grandpa. Grandpa has also gone very far in the ultimate Douluo realm. But even so, I won't lose today. Lu Yuan's tone was calm, but it was full of determination. Oh, after hearing this, Sindoryu couldn't help but narrow his eyes. He's so confident. Does this kid still have some trump cards? Grandpa, let's fight. Lu Yuan's eyes narrowed, and his aura suddenly erupted. Waves rose from the lake under his feet, and a wall of water that was dozens of meters tall rose along with Lu Yuan's aura. It looked very powerful. Interesting, Sindoryu muttered. Golden light flickered on his body, and a mysterious ancient chant sounded. Holy light scattered, and the 6-winged angel martial soul attached to his body. Hidden dragon in the abyss. Lu Yuan shouted. His body rose, and his hand seals changed. He pushed out with both palms, and the wall of water that was dozens of meters tall instantly changed. Following Lu Yuan's hand gestures, it turned into a water dragon that was hundreds of meters long. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws as it roared towards Sindoryu. This was one of his self-created bloodline soul skills, Hidden Dragon in the Abyss. Sindoryu's lips curled into a smile. He raised his palms and fiercely slashed everything. Suddenly, a golden palm appeared in the air and cut the 100-meter-long water dragon in half. Immediately, the huge water dragon turned back into clear lake water and poured out. A casual palm strike was able to break Lu Yuan's hidden dragon in the abyss. He was much stronger than the Golden Crocodile. The gap between an ultimate Douluo and an ultimate Douluo was huge. If not for his divine ring and divine body, Lu Yuan wouldn't be able to exchange blows with an ultimate Douluo, even if his bloodline had evolved. Obuchi, take this, Sindoryu said plainly. He flipped his palm slightly and pressed it down. Suddenly, a huge palm print appeared in the air and pressed down on Lu Yuan's head. The palm print pressed down and carried a strong aura. Good timing, Lu Yuan shouted. The aura's core of qi and blood in his dantian was pulsating rapidly. A powerful bloodline power emerged from the aura's core of qi and blood, directly entering his limbs and bones. Lu Yuan clenched his fist, and boundless strength burst forth. Golden light flashed, and he punched towards a huge palm print. Boom! The golden fist crushed the palm print. However, the remaining strength of the palm print hit the surface of the lake, and a huge sound was heard, and the entire lake sank. The lake water tumbled, and the originally clear lake water became turbid. Affected by the shock waves, even the shore collapsed due to this palm strike. The might of an ultimate Douluo was unfathomable. Unlike his fight with the Golden Crocodile earlier, Lu Yuan's fight with Sindoryu had reached the ultimate Douluo level. Every punch and kick caused great destruction. Lu Yuan frowned when he saw this scene. If they continued fighting, the island in the center of the lake would probably be blown apart. The surface of the lake was enough for him to fight the golden alligator Douluo, but it was still far from enough for him to fight the Thousand Dao stream. "Grandpa, let's fight in the air," Lu Yuan said. He flapped his dragon wings and soared into the sky. "All right," Sendoryu responded. He turned into a streak of golden light and followed. The two of them ascended several thousand meters before they finally stopped. Here, they could completely let go of their hands and feet. "Obuchi, I'm afraid it's not good for you to choose to fight in the air. This is my home ground." Sendoryu chuckled as he looked at Lu Yuan. To a true dragon, riding the clouds is also an instinct. So to me, the sky is also my home ground. Lu Yuan shook his head. Dragons follow the clouds, and tigers follow the wind. Dragons were born with the ability to fly, and the sky couldn't affect them. "That's good. Grandpa also wants to see your full strength. If you're restricted by the battlefield, then it's not good," Sendoryu said. "Then, Grandpa, watch carefully," Lu Yuan said softly. Light flashed in his hand, and the golden dragon spear appeared in his hand. At the same time, his body shone with golden light. The golden dragon armor, which had been upgraded to a divine tool, was also on his body. With two divine tools in hand, Lu Yuan didn't dare to be careless against Sendoryu. Chapter 857. Two Godly Items. Sendoryu's voice froze as he sensed the auras coming from Lu Yuan's golden dragon spear and golden dragon armor. There was a look of surprise in his eyes. The golden dragon spear was one thing, but he had seen this golden dragon battle armor before, and it was a rare armor-type external soul bone. However, he didn't think that this external soul bone would evolve into a divine tool. This little brat was always able to surprise everyone. Lu Yuan's aura rose once he donned the golden dragon armor, and he became even stronger. The golden dragon armor had changed a lot, and it was very different from before. Under the influence of the true dragon's heart blood, the rhombus-shaped scales on the golden dragon armor had become fan-shaped dragon scales. Every dragon scale was arranged in a specific order, and they formed a full body armor with no blind spots. Beautiful cloud patterns were outlined on the armor, and the blood-red cloak on his back had turned golden. There was a handsome dragon's head imprinted on the armor's chest area, and it exuded a powerful dragon's aura. Apart from its appearance, the golden dragon armor's weight had also changed a lot. After becoming a godly item, the golden dragon armor weighed 50,000 kilograms. Other than Lu Yuan, there was probably no one else in the world who could bear such heavy armor. If one wore such an armor, they would be crushed to the ground if they weren't strong enough, let alone fight. "Grandpa Golden Crocodile, let's begin." Lu Yuan chuckled as his golden dragon spear broke through space and stabbed toward Sendoryu. Thousands of spear projections appeared in the air before they merged into one. This was the divine skill of the sea god's 13 halberds, 1,000-year space-time. Not bad. Sendoryu's eyes lit up, and soul power surged in his hand. A golden longsword appeared in his hand, and he slashed it horizontally, tearing apart the spear projections. Lu Yuan's body followed his spear, and he swung it horizontally. Space exploded, and the spear was like a giant pillar that supported the heavens as it attacked Sendoryu with terrifying strength. Self-created soul skill, spear technique, spatial explosion. With regard to spear techniques, Lu Yuan could be said to be extremely familiar with them. His transitions between spear techniques were flawless and smooth like flowing water. Sendoryu stroked his hand, and dazzling golden flames erupted from his longsword. He swung his longsword horizontally, and it clashed directly with Lu Yuan's golden dragon spear. Bang! With a loud explosion, Lu Yuan was sent flying back over 100 meters before he could stabilize himself, while Sendoryu was also sent flying back a short distance. Sendoryu's soul force crushed Lu Yuan's, but Lu Yuan's strength put him at a disadvantage. However, in comparison, Lu Yuan retreated a little further. What a terrifying and vigorous soul power! Lu Yuan's expression changed slightly as he muttered softly. He wasn't injured. He had a pseudo-godly body, and his physique was very strong. However, he was at a slight disadvantage in that clash. An ultimate Douluo's attack was indeed terrifying. Even Sindoryu, who was the weakest among the current ultimate Douluo, was unbelievably strong. What brat! What brute strength! Sindoryu couldn't help but sigh as he sensed the tremendous strength that had just been unleashed. The magnitude of that power had truly exceeded his expectations. Grandpa Gin, Lu Yuan flapped his dragon wings, and the golden dragon spear in his hand flickered with blood-red light. A boundless ferocious aura was released. Self-created soul skill, spear technique, life massacre. Lu Yuan's body turned into a series of afterimages, and his murderous aura locked onto Sindoryu. His golden dragon spear was like a roaring blood-red dragon, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. Against Sindoryu, Lu Yuan didn't hold back at all. He unleashed his strongest moves. Good timing. Sixth soul skill, angelic demon sweeping slash. Sindoryu's sixth soul ring glowed with a dim light. The holy light transformed into a huge sword and unleashed a terrifying attack. This was the first time he had used a soul skill since the start of the battle. The huge light blade clashed with Lu Yuan's spear light. His spear technique, life massacre, which had always been successful, was broken. The golden dragon spear was knocked out of Lu Yuan's hand, and the remaining light blade continued to slash towards him. Lu Yuan's expression turned serious, and his sixth blood-red soul ring glowed with a demonic light. Sixth soul skill, Golden Dragon's Eternal Defense. The Golden Dragon's Eternal Defense was an absolute defense. It couldn't be broken by anyone below the god rank, and could only be used 3 times a day. Lu Yuan activated his soul skill, and a golden light barrier appeared around him. The light blade struck the light barrier and was shattered into nothingness. Although he successfully blocked the light blade, Lu Yuan's expression was extremely serious. He didn't expect Sindoryu's attack to be so terrifying after using a soul skill. Just his 6th soul skill was able to completely break his spear technique, Life Massacre. This was one of his strongest self-created soul skills, and even his dragon swimming Great Void was on par with it. Furthermore, what shocked him the most was that the golden dragon spear in his hand had been knocked away by Sindoryu. He couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart, and he became even more serious about the upcoming battle. With a thought, the golden dragon spear flew back into his hand. However, Lu Yuan put it away. Instead, a 3-meter-long spear appeared in Lu Yuan's hand. It was golden and jade, and it contained a strong dragon's aura. It was a supra-divine weapon, the Dragon Emperor Draining Spring Spear. Sindoryu was so strong that he couldn't be bothered to hide it. He directly took out the Dragon Emperor Draining Spring Spear. The jade-like spear felt extremely comfortable in his hand. The spear trembled slightly, and a terrifying force burst forth. It was very strong and very convenient to use. After his bloodline evolved, this spear was even more convenient to use. When he held it in his hand, it felt as if it was connected to his bloodline. "Grandpa, be careful!" Lu Yuan shouted as he stabbed out with the Dragon Emperor Draining Spring Spear. Instantly, the wind and clouds started to stir. Dragon roars sounded, and this spear was like a shooting star that descended from the sky. It carried the might of a true dragon as it flew towards Sindoryu. Sindoryu focused his gaze, and his 5th soul ring lit up. 5th soul skill, Holy Sword. The huge golden sword carried holy flames as it split the clouds apart and slashed towards Lu Yuan. Although this was his 5th soul skill, it was actually much more powerful than his 6th soul skill. However, Lu Yuan wasn't holding the golden dragon spear anymore. Clang! The spear and sword clashed, and terrifying energy undulations were unleashed. A strong pressure was transmitted from the spear to his hand. However, he was already prepared this time. He held the spear with close to 500,000 kilograms of force. How could he let the spear be knocked away again? "Break for me!" Lu Yuan shouted, and the Dragon Emperor draining spring spear shone brightly. A five-clawed golden dragon circled in the air and roared into the sky. The might of a true dragon wasn't to be underestimated. The Dragon Emperor draining spring spear broke the huge holy sword in half. The spear didn't stop as it stabbed towards Sindoryu again. Sindoryu was shocked when his holy sword was broken. He looked at the Dragon Emperor draining spring spear and hurriedly dodged. Chapter 858. However, although he dodged in time, Lu Yuan's movements were not slow either. The Dragon Emperor draining spring spear was incomparably sharp, leaving behind a corner of his clothes. High up in the sky, the cold wind blew, and the corner of his clothes was blown away by the wind. What kind of weapon is this? It's actually so powerful. Looking at the spear in Lu Yuan's hand, Sindoryu could not help but ask. He could feel the power of this spear. It was terrifying beyond imagination, far above the golden dragon spear Lu Yuan used before. Most of the power of his attack just now was directly offset by this spear. Otherwise, Lu Yuan would not have been able to break it so easily. The power of the divine sword was extraordinary. Supra divine weapon, Dragon Emperor draining spring spear. Lu Yuan stood with the spear in his hand and said softly with a calm expression. In the fight just now, he already knew that there was a big gap between him and Sindoryu. However, with the Dragon Emperor draining spring spear, this gap was enough to make up for it. Super divine weapons were the top weapons in this world. They were rare treasures even for divine kings. Why was the sea god ranked at the forefront of the first-tier gods in the divine world? Wasn't it because of the existence of the supra-divine weapon, Sea God's Trident? And Lu Yuan's Dragon Emperor draining spring spear was a bit better than Sea God's Trident. Although the current hymn could not display the true power of the Dragon Emperor draining spring spear, it was completely enough to fight with Sindoryu. Supra-divine weapon, Dragon Emperor draining spring spear. Hearing this, Sindoryu's expression changed slightly. He naturally knew about super-divine weapons. As the divine envoy of the angel god, he still understood these things. The angel god's angel holy sword was a divine weapon and a master divine weapon, which was also a first-tier divine weapon. Above, it were super-divine weapons. Super-divine weapons were extremely rare. Even in the divine world, there are not many. There were only a few people who possessed them. Lu Yuan being able to possess a super-divine weapon was probably related to his identity as the successor of the divine king. Sindoryu secretly guessed. However, Obuchi, who possesses the Dragon Emperor draining spring spear, isn't that easy to deal with. Sindoryu narrowed his eyes and sighed in his heart. The pressure that the Dragon Emperor draining spring spear gave him was not small. "Grandpa, let's continue," Lu Yuan said softly. Fighting with Sindoryu gave him the pleasure of going all out. His fighting spirit rose, and he just wanted to fight to his heart's content. "All right, let's continue then." Sindoryu's eyes also lit up. He also rarely fought, and Lu Yuan could be considered a good opponent. The two of them were on the verge of exploding, and immediately collided fiercely again. In the sky, energy burst forth. Two balls of golden light stirred up the wind and clouds. Everyone on the ground watched with rapt attention. In order to take care of Hulina and Zhu Zhiqing, who were weaker than them, Guyuna directly used the power of space to condense a mirror and reflected the image of the battle in the sky. The two of them are fighting so fiercely. Looking at the two of them going all out in the mirror, Hulina couldn't help but say, Lu Yuan and Sindoryu were really excited to fight. Both of them didn't hold back, and the space exploded and the clouds dissipated. Fortunately, they were in the sky. If they were on the ground, the entire Lake Heart Island would have been sunk. Indeed, the attacks of these two are quite terrifying, especially Obuchi. His attacks are endless, and he has too many skills. After fighting for so long, he actually didn't use any repeated skills. Seeing Lu Yuan's soul skills, soul bone skills, self-created soul skills, and polychoria skills used one after another, Zhu Zhuqin couldn't help but say. Obuchi is really powerful. I didn't expect him to fight with the great consecrator to this extent. It's really surprising. Looking at the image in the mirror, the golden crocodile couldn't help but sigh softly. Obuchi's strength is actually still a bit weak. It's mainly that spear that's powerful. Bibidon's pink eyes blinked slightly. Her intuition told her that the spear was very extraordinary. That's a super divine tool, the Dragon Emperor Draining Spring Spear, Hulina said softly. Among so many people present, she was the only one who had seen this spear before. She saw it when Lu Yuan was receiving his reward when they had just left Massacre City. A super divine tool? This little bastard has a lot of treasures. Bibidon muttered inwardly. A supra divine tool. This was even more powerful than the Rakshasa demon scythe. A super divine tool? Guyuna's purple eyes flickered slightly. She also had a super divine tool called the Dragon God's Heart, which was known as the most powerful super divine tool. However, compared to Lu Yuan's Dragon Emperor Draining Spring Spear, it seemed to be slightly inferior. Moreover, this spear seemed to have the shadow of the so-called pure-blooded true dragon. It should be Obuchi who got it from who knows where. This guy always had some inexplicable mysteries on him. Sizing up the battle between the two, Hulina's eyes turned and she asked softly, "Then who do you guys think will win in the end?" "It should be the head consecrator. Obuchi has already used his polychoria, but he still can't take down the head consecrator. Unless he uses the god-killing spear, he should lose after a long time." Bibidon said indifferently. If he used the god-killing spear, Lu Yuan would definitely win. However, Lu Yuan couldn't use the god-killing spear because Sindoryu would definitely die if he did. The god-killing spear was too overbearing. Once it was used, there was no room for maneuver. Sindoryu was one of them, and he was also Chihiro Snow's grandfather. Lu Yuan naturally couldn't kill him. Therefore, in Bibidon's opinion, the final winner should be Sindoryu. However, she really hoped that Lu Yuan would win. I also agree with His Holiness's opinion. Obuchi's soul power is too weak compared to the head consecrator. Although he can resist for a short time, his soul power will run out after a long time, and he will lose. The golden crocodile said, "Not necessarily. He still has a trump card. This battle should be a draw. Both sides will be injured." Guyuna said indifferently. "What?" Hearing Guyuna's words, everyone couldn't help but be shocked. "You don't have enough soul power?" After using so many powerful moves, Lu Yuan only had less than 30% of his soul power left. However, Sindoryu clearly still had plenty of soul power. An ultimate Douluo's soul power reserves were much more than his. "It seems like I have to condense my soul power core as soon as possible and store more soul power." Lu Yuan muttered softly, "But now it's better to end this battle quickly." A fierce look flashed in Lu Yuan's eyes. He passed the Dragon Emperor Draining Spring Spear to his left hand. His right hand's seals changed, and the white clouds in the sky quickly gathered together. In an instant, the sky above Lu Yuan's head was filled with white clouds, blocking out the sunlight. "Grandfather, be careful. We'll decide the outcome with one move," Lu Yuan shouted. His hand seals changed again. The clouds surged and churned, condensing into 5-clawed true dragons that roared into the sky. In an instant, a terrifying dragon's aura filled the entire sky. True dragon treasured skill, dragon control, activate. Chapter 859. The dragon taming technique could control 10,000 dragons, and it could also condense true energy into a true dragon to defend against enemies. Lu Yuan could only rely on the true dragon treasure technique to defeat Sindoryu when he couldn't use the god-slaying spear. The true dragon treasure technique was extremely powerful. Even if it was just one of the moves, it was still a great ability that shocked both ancient and modern times. Especially since Lu Yuan had the true dragon's bloodline, he could unleash the true dragon treasure technique's power to the extreme. When Lu Yuan used the dragon taming technique, the white clouds in the sky turned into true dragons. They were mighty, and 10,000 dragons danced in the sky. Good lad, such a terrifying attack. It seems like I can't dodge it. I can only take it head-on. Sendoryu sighed slightly. His seventh soul ring lit up, and the six-winged angel martial soul walked into his body from his back and fused with him. At his level, he could already fuse with his martial soul. Even in his human form, he could still use the terrifying power of his martial soul true body. More importantly, he could use other soul skills at the same time in this form. The combination of the two was extremely terrifying. Sendoryu's ninth blood-red soul ring lit up with a thought. Holy light burst forth, and a holy and majestic figure crossed the sky. There were 3 pairs of snow-white wings behind her back, and she held a gorgeous golden sword in her hand. The entire figure exuded a biting cold divine power. It was Sendoryu's ninth soul skill, Angel's Descent. The angel goddess descended into the world, and her terrifying aura instantly locked onto Lu Yuan. I'm sure now, the angel goddess is indeed a woman. No wonder she chose Cher as her successor. Compared to the unclear carvings on the statue, the angel goddess's figure summoned by Sendoryu's ninth soul skill was so clear that he could even see the angel goddess's beautiful face. She was very beautiful, and not inferior to Chihiro Snow at all. Coupled with her holy aura, she was really charming. Ahem, I've digressed. Lu Yuan retracted his mind and focused his gaze. The hand seals in his hands changed again, and the cloud dragons in the sky roared at the sky, ready to attack. Let's see if your angel god shadow is stronger, or if my dragon control technique is better. With a thought, Lu Yuan pointed with his right hand, and the cloud dragons that filled the sky rushed towards Sendoryu. In an instant, tens of thousands of dragons rushed forward, and the scene was spectacular. Good timing. Sendoryu let out a loud roar as he unleashed all of his soul power. The projection of the angel brandished its magnificent golden sword at the cloud dragons that filled the sky. What a terrifying exchange. Both sides are going all out. Looking at the battle in the mirror, BB Dawn could not help but sigh softly. Based on the intensity of the attacks launched by these two people, even if she was at her peak, she would not have been able to deal with them. If I were in such a battle, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to hold on for long. Looking at the fierce exchange in the sky, the explosion of energy, the collapse of space, the battle made the universe lose its color, and the sun and moon lose their light. Golden Crocodile could not help but sigh. If it were me, I'm afraid it would be even worse. I might be killed instantly. Qianjun Xie and the other consecrators could not help but smile bitterly. For them, the battle in the sky was simply like a fight between immortals. True dragon treasured technique, worthy of its reputation. This dragon control technique is so wonderful. It's a pity that Obuchi is just a beginner, otherwise he would have one today. Guyuna secretly said in her heart, the more powerful the technique, the more difficult it was to cultivate. Even she had to admit that this true dragon treasure technique was really difficult to cultivate after seeing the cultivation method of the true dragon claw. Today, if Lu Yuan's dragon control technique had reached a higher level, he would have won easily. Looking at the current situation, I'm afraid both sides have suffered heavy injuries, but Obuchi has the secret character, so he should be fine. Looking at the battle in the sky, Guyuna said softly. As soon as Guyuna's voice fell, the situation in the sky suddenly changed. The gigantic angel phantom in front of Qian Dao Lu exploded, shattering into specks of light that filled the sky. The mighty cloud dragon was also beaten into a white mist and disintegrated. Lu Yuan and Sendoryu were both hit by the backlash of the two terrifying forces. Almost at the same time, they spat out a big mouthful of blood, and their figures directly fell from the sky. The speed of their descent was extremely fast. In just a moment, they were already 100 meters away from the lake and were about to fall into the lake. Seeing this scene, Guyuna's figure flashed and directly went to the sky, caught Lu Yuan's body, and then floated to the ground. Golden Crocodile also hurriedly went to Sendoryu, wanting to catch him. However, Sindoryu fell from the sky, and the impact was huge. He was not Gu Yuna, so how could he withstand such a force? His whole body fell directly into the lake with Sindoryu, splashing a large amount of water. Gu Yuna gently landed, and Lu Yuan's body was carried in her arms. "Are you okay, Obuchi?" Seeing Gu Yuna land, Bibi Dan and the other girls quickly surrounded her. Puff! Lu Yuan spat out another mouthful of blood, and his whole face was as pale as paper. Bibi Dan and the others couldn't help but tremble and became more anxious. "I'm fine, put me down." Being princess carried by Gu Yuna in front of so many people, his old face was a little red. He was a grown man, so how could he be like this? "No, you're injured, so be obedient." Gu Yuna shook her head and rejected Lu Yuan's request. "That's right, you're injured, and you still care about those superficial things. You're just trying to save face." Bibi Dan reprimanded indifferently, but her eyes were full of concern. "Obuchi, be obedient." Hulina blinked and said softly, "Be obedient, you're not allowed to come down." Zhu Zhuqing's cold voice sounded. The four women all expressed their rejection of Lu Yuan's request. Okay then. Seeing that all of his wives were against it, he could only obediently obey. Although it was a little awkward being hugged by Gu Yuna, it was still quite comfortable. After a pause, Lu Yuan asked worriedly, "Grandpa, are you okay?" Even with his false god body, he had suffered heavy injuries, and Sendoryu's physique was not as good as his. Although his soul power was strong, his injuries were definitely more serious than his. "I'm not sure." Bibi Dan and the others shook their heads. They only cared about Lu Yuan, so who had the time to check on Sindoryu? Nah. Lu Yuan looked at Gu Yuna. She was the strongest here, so she definitely knew whether Grandpa was injured or not. "He's fine. He'll recover in a week," Gu Yuna said. Hearing this, Lu Yuan immediately felt relieved. As soon as Gu Yuna finished speaking, the surface of the lake exploded, and Golden Crocodile walked out with Sindoryu in his arms. His face was as pale as a sheet of paper, and it was obvious that he had suffered heavy injuries. However, as Gu Yuna said, he would recover in a week. Looking at Lu Yuan, Sindoryu's pale face revealed a trace of smile. Although he did not win this match, he had thoroughly seen Lu Yuan's strength. To be honest, he was satisfied with Lu Yuan's strength from the bottom of his heart. With Lu Yuan here, the martial soul palace could sit back and relax. Chapter 860. Sindoryu coughed a few times, and there was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth, but his eyes were so bright. Gold Crocodile, Qianjun, Jean Mo, the six of you, listen carefully. From today onwards, all of you must follow Lu Yuan's orders. His orders are my orders. Do you hear me? Sindoryu's voice sounded. Yes, great consecrator, we understand. Gold Crocodile and the others responded at the same time. Obuchi, from today onwards, I will hand over the consecration hall to you. You can command them as you wish, Sindoryu said softly as he looked at Lu Yuan. If you hand over the consecration hall to me, what about you, Grandpa? Lu Yuan couldn't help but ask. Grandpa is old, and it's time to retire. In the future, it will be the stage for you young people. I wanted to pass it to Cher, but Cher's strength is still low. Moreover, you are the next pope, so I might as well hand over the consecration hall to you. Anyway, you and Cher are husband and wife. You are not an outsider, Sindoryu said. The consecration hall was Sindoryu's life's work, and it was also a force that belonged to the angel bloodline. Bibidon had always wanted to take it, but she had never been able to do so. Today, Sindoryu actually handed it over to Lu Yuan, which really surprised everyone. Even Bibidon couldn't help but look surprised. It seemed that she didn't expect Sindoryu to hand over the consecration hall to Lu Yuan. She couldn't help but view the 1,000 Dao stream in a higher light. This old man was quite bold. He was already old, and his ambition was lacking. Indeed, only by handing over these forces to Lu Yuan would the martial soul palace be able to develop better. It was rare for this old man to see things so clearly. Moreover, Giving it to Lu Yuan was not like giving it to an outsider. If Lu Yuan and Chihiro Snow had a child in the future, these things would still return to the people with the blood of angels. Sendoryu, this old man, was far-sighted. Don't refuse. This is the only thing Grandpa can do for you, Sendoryu said softly. All right. After a moment of silence, Lu Yuan spoke softly. Since Sendoryu had put it this way, he naturally wouldn't refuse. Furthermore, the influence of the consecration hall was not weak. How could they not accept subordinates who delivered themselves to their doorstep? That's good. Hearing that Lu Yuan had accepted, Sendoryu couldn't help but smile slightly. Handing the consecration hall over to Lu Yuan would not only make it more useful, but he could also concentrate on preparing for Chihiro Snow's 9 examinations and do his best to cultivate another god for the angels. This was the last wish in his heart. Ahem. Lu Yuan coughed. With a thought, the star ring flashed, and a jade bottle appeared in his hand. This is a superior healing pill, the pill of fortune reversal. It may not be able to bring the dead back to life, but it has a miraculous effect on healing injuries. Nana, help me give it to Grandpa. Lu Yuan turned his gaze to Hulina. Okay. Hulina nodded, then took the jade bottle, stepped forward, and handed it to Sendoryu. Sendoryu accepted the pill and looked at Lu Yuan with a softer gaze. Then Grandpa will leave first. Grandpa has to go back and recuperate. Kid, your strength is really not bad. Sendoryu smiled. Grandpa, take care, Lu Yuan said softly. The golden crocodile carried Sendoryu away, leaving only Lu Yuan, Bibi Dawn, and the other 2 girls on the island in the middle of the lake. What are you looking at? Haven't you seen a handsome guy as handsome as me? Seeing that the girls were staring at him, Lu Yuan couldn't help but chuckle and say, Bah, why are you still talking nonsense at this time? In this situation, healing injuries is the most important thing. Bibi Dawn glared at Lu Yuan and reprimanded him. If you take the initiative to kiss me, maybe my injuries will be healed immediately. Looking at Bibi Dawn, Lu Yuan said with a smirk, Go to hell. Why are you still talking nonsense at this time? Bibi Dawn looked at Lu Yuan, her pink eyes flashing with a trace of anger. She was really angry. Usually, he likes to talk nonsense and flirt with her, but when he is injured, he is not honest at all. Does he really not think about his own body at all? Nar, carry me back. Let's go back and recuperate. Seeing a trace of anger rise in Bibidon's eyes, Lu Yuan immediately admitted defeat. Except for Chihiro Snow, he was actually a little afraid of Bibi Dawn. Maybe it was a habit formed since childhood. Okay, Gu Yuna softly said. She carried Lu Yuan and walked toward a room not far away. Zhu Zhuqing and Hulina also prepared to go back. Only Bibi Dawn stood in the same place. Teacher? Hulina softly said with a trace of doubt in her eyes. You 2 go back first. I will go and arrange dinner. This little bastard is injured. He needs to be nourished. Bibi Dawn said softly. Oh, then we'll go back first. Hulina said and walked with Zhu Zhuqing in the direction of Gu Yuna and Lu Yuan. Pushing open the door, Gu Yuna placed Lu Yuan on the bed. Looking at him, Gu Yuna's purple eyes contained a trace of concern. I am fine. I have the esoteric character. I just exhausted my soul power. Once my soul power recovers, this injury will be nothing. Holding Gu Yuna's jade hand, Lu Yuan said with a faint smile. The esoteric character's recovery was heaven-defying, but it was the same as ordinary skills. It required soul power to activate. At this moment, Lu Yuan's soul power was exhausted, and his injuries would be difficult to recover in a short time. Then don't talk anymore. Quickly meditate to recover. Gu Yuna said. Okay. Lu Yuan nodded. He sat cross-legged, closed his eyes, and began to meditate. The clear chi scripture began to circulate, and his soul power began to slowly recover. As his soul power slowly recovered, the effects of the esoteric character also began to show. Lu Yuan's injuries were almost completely healed in an instant. After his injuries were healed, Lu Yuan continued to recover his soul power. After today's battle, Hui Yuhao's control over his soul power had increased once again. When he completely controlled the soul power in his body, his fighting strength should be able to increase a little. In today's battle, although he and Sindoryu fought to a draw, in reality, Sindoryu was still holding back. Although Sindoryu used his 9th soul skill, Angel's Descent, he still had a trump card that he hadn't used. Once he used his divine power, Sindoryu's strength would increase a lot. Unless he used the God-slaying spear, he would be defeated by Sindoryu. Sindoryu was the weakest ultimate Douluo in the world. Pasizi, Tang Chun, and the rest were all stronger than Sindoryu. Long Xiaoyao's abilities were much weaker when he faced Lu Yuan because of the suppression of his martial soul bloodline. There was no comparison. Lu Yuan's fighting strength was undoubtedly at its peak right now, but he still had a long way to go if he wanted to rely on his strength to defeat these top-tier experts. The revolution hasn't succeeded yet. Comrade, you still have to work hard. I'm not strong enough now. I have to become stronger. Lu Yuan thought to himself. Chapter 861. An hour later, Lu Yuan finally opened his eyes. His polychoria flickered and a bolt of lightning flashed in the air. Lu Yuan exhaled slowly, and his pale face became rosy again. His aura surged, and a strong dragon's might permeated the air. Seeing Lu Yuan open his eyes, Gu Yuna couldn't help but ask, "You've recovered?" "I've recovered." Lu Yuan smiled faintly and took Gu Yuna's hand and pulled her into his embrace. With Gu Yuna in his arms, Lu Yuan gently sniffed the fragrance of her body and caressed her beautiful face, and he couldn't help but feel a little moved in his heart. "Nar," Lu Yuan called out softly as he looked into Gu Yuna's mysterious and noble purple eyes. Her polychoria flickered with light. "You've only just recovered, so don't mess around. If you want, I'll give it to you in a few days." Gu Yuna blushed slightly under Lu Yuan's gaze. She understood the strange look in Lu Yuan's eyes. She was naturally very willing, but Lu Yuan's injuries had only just recovered, and she was afraid that it would affect Lu Yuan's body. "I've already recovered. Take a look if you don't believe me." Lu Yuan pointed to himself. "That won't do. Let's wait a few more days." Gu Yuna shook her head gently, but her voice was filled with determination. "All right." Seeing Gu Yuna's determined expression, Lu Yuan could only give up. He knew that although Gu Yuna was gentle like water, she was actually very opinionated. Once she decided on something, it was very difficult to change her mind. Not to mention, Gu Yuna was also worried about him. "Then can I at least kiss you twice?" Lu Yuan asked again as he looked at Gu Yuna without blinking. Looking at Gu Yuna, he always wanted to take advantage of her. Who told Gu Yuna to be so perfect that he couldn't help but be moved? Seeing Lu Yuan's expression, Gu Yuna was a little amused, but she didn't refuse this time. Instead, she closed her eyes slightly. Seeing this, Lu Yuan couldn't help but smile. Looking at Gu Yuna's delicate red lips, his heart moved slightly, and he couldn't help but lean forward. However, the heavens seemed to like to joke with him today. Just as he leaned forward, before he could kiss her, the space around them fluctuated, and they were interrupted again. Cough, cough. Subordinate seems to have come at the wrong time. Seeing the two hugging each other, Di Tian, who walked out of the space, couldn't help but cough, with an awkward expression. Di? Looking at Di Tian, Lu Yuan's eyes slightly narrowed in a sense of danger. On the other hand, Gu Yuna's pretty face was also tense and expressionless. This caused Di Tian's body to involuntarily tremble as a trace of a bad feeling surged in his heart. Since I've disturbed His Highness and His Honor's happy occasion, I'm afraid that I won't have a good ending. But who would have thought that it would be such a coincidence? Master, why don't you continue while I wait outside? As Di Tian spoke, he turned around and walked towards the spatial crack. There's no need. What are you here for? Gu Yuna stared at Di Tian and said plainly. Lu Yuan's double pupils also swept across Di Tian's body. If there was really something important, then it would be fine. But if there wasn't, then other than the two debts from before, there would be another one. Right now, he wasn't far from being able to beat up Dition. Under the suppression of his martial soul bloodline, Lu Yuan would be able to beat up Dition as long as his abilities improved. Being stared at by the two of them, Dition shivered and immediately said, "I'm here for something important. Just 2 days ago, a group of people came from the Great Stardew Forest. They wanted to break into the core region, but they were ambushed by the Bear Lord and left behind a ground full of corpses. Those people weren't weak, and there were 5 titled Douluo among them. I think this matter isn't simple, so I'm here to report it to you." "Were they all carrying hammers?" Lu Yuan asked. "Yes, one of them was even a transcendent Douluo. He was the only one who managed to escape, and the rest were captured by the Bear Lord." Dition said, "They're indeed from the Clear Sky sect. It seems like they still jumped into the trap that we set up back then. The Bear Lord is impressive. He's indeed a bear that knows how to scheme. He captured 4 of the 5 titled Douluo, and only Tang Xiao managed to escape. The Clear Sky sect has suffered heavy losses this time, including the one who stayed behind. There are only 2 titled Douluo left. They're not even as strong as the 7 Treasures Glazed sect." Lu Yuan thought to himself. "How's the Bear Lord?" Lu Yuan asked. "He's fine. He ambushed us from behind and killed 2 titled Douluo. How can the rest be his match?" Dition shook his head. He was very disdainful of the Bear Lord's sneaky ways. "However, that fellow is also useless. He ambushed us from behind, but one of us still managed to escape." Dition said plainly. "So be it. It doesn't matter. Now that the Clear Sky sect has suffered heavy losses, the opportunity that we've been waiting for is here." Lu Yuan narrowed his eyes and said plainly, "Opportunity is here? What do you mean?" Gu Yina asked in confusion. "It's time to eliminate our enemies." Lu Yuan said gently, "Is the news true?" Bibi Dan looked at Lu Yuan with a questioning look in her eyes. "It's true," Lu Yuan said with a faint smile. "If it's true, then it's a good thing." Bibi Dong's eyes flickered as he said softly, "It's indeed a good thing. We can begin our operation now. This time, we'll capture them all in one fell swoop." Lu Yuan clenched his fists. A fierce look flashed across his eyes. "What do you plan to do?" Bibi Dan asked plainly. "It's simple. I'll ask Elder Long to bring everyone from the Hall of Worship to the Clear Sky sect. With 6 transcendent Douluo and 1 ultimate Douluo, not even a mosquito can escape from the Clear Sky sect. As for me, I'll bring the Chrysanthemum Douluo, Ghost Douluo, Sister Xiao Dao, and Elder Hong Chun to the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect. They'll destroy the entire Clear Sky sect," Lu Yuan said. "You're using a sledgehammer to kill a chicken with so many titled soul masters. But that's a foolproof plan. How about this? You can each bring 2,000 elite soul masters. We can't let you kill as you please. That'll be beneath your dignity. You can just let your subordinates do the work for you." Bibi Dan said, "We'll do as you say." Lu Yuan stroked Bibidan's face and chuckled. Bibi Dan rolled her eyes at Lu Yuan, but she didn't resist. She was actually very fond of Lu Yuan's closeness. "When you plan to start the soul hunt?" Bibi Dan asked. She had already given Lu Yuan full authority over this matter. 3 days from now. We have to be prepared." Lu Yuan narrowed his eyes and said lightly, 3 days from now." Bibi Dan murmured softly, "Yes, 3 days from now. I want the Clear Sky sect and the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect to cease to exist in this world." Lu Yuan spoke softly. His eyes were overflowing with killing intent. Chapter 862. Time flew by. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye, and it was already the 3rd day. In the side chamber of the Pope's palace, Bibi Dan was reading documents. The sound of footsteps attracted her attention. "You're here." She put the document in her hand on the desk and looked at the person who came with a smile on her pretty face. In. Lu Yuan nodded, walked behind Bibi Dan, bent down, sat down, and hugged her from behind. He gently hugged Bibidan's waist and rested his chin on her shoulder. "Pay attention. This is the side chamber." Being hugged by Lu Yuan, Bibi Dan couldn't help but grumble. This guy is getting bolder and bolder. He even dares to touch me in the side chamber of the Pope's palace. It's okay. When I came in, I told the palace knights not to let anyone in, so no one will disturb us. Lu Yuan said softly, "You have a lot of ideas for this kind of thing." Listening to Lu Yuan's words, Bibi Don said snappily, "I can't help it. My dong heir doesn't want others to know. I really don't like the feeling of hiding." Sniffing the faint fragrance in Bibidon's purple hair, Lu Yuan said softly, "I also don't like to hide. I also want to be with you openly." Bibi Don sighed. Didn't she want to be with Lu Yuan openly? She wanted to. She really wanted to, but hearing this, Lu Yuan was silent. He naturally knew what Bibi Don was worried about. "Dong heir, I think there is only one strong evidence to prove that you and Cher have nothing to do with each other." Lu Yuan's heart skipped a beat as he said in a serious tone, "What evidence?" Bibi Don asked curiously. "Dong heir, if Cher really has nothing to do with you, then you should still be a virgin, right?" Lu Yuan rolled his eyes and asked in a low voice, "Yes, what's wrong?" Hearing this, Bibi Dong nodded and asked with some confusion, "Then won't we know if you're a virgin after we get intimate? As long as you're a virgin, then wouldn't everything be solved?" Lu Yuan said with a smirk. "Little bastard, what are you talking about?" Hearing these words, Bibi Don immediately reprimanded. She turned around, and her jade-like hands directly climbed onto Lu Yuan's ear, after which she fiercely twisted it. Hiss! Being spun by Bibi Don like this, Lu Yuan immediately sucked in a breath of cold air from the pain and hurriedly begged for mercy. "Does it hurt? Serve him right." Bibi Don glared at Lu Yuan. What nonsense was this guy talking about? He could even think of such a rotten idea. Moreover, maybe this guy was thinking of doing something bad in his heart. The more Bibi Don thought about it, the angrier she became. She unconsciously increased the strength in her hand. "What I said is very reasonable, Dong heir. This is definitely the most powerful evidence." Lu Yuan defended. I think you have bad intentions." Bibi Don snorted. "Sigh, I didn't expect you to think of me like this, Dong heir. I really just want to find evidence." Lu Yuan said sincerely. "Only a ghost would believe you." Bibi Don glanced at Lu Yuan, but the strength in her hand could not help but loosen a bit. Looking at Lu Yuan's grimacing in pain, regardless of whether he was faking it or not, her heart softened. Seeing this, Lu Yuan snickered slightly, and then once again took Bibi Don into his arms. Looking at Bibidon's pretty face, Lu Yuan's expression changed, and he said righteously, "All right, let's stop fooling around. Let's get down to business." Seeing this, Bibidon's mouth twitched. This man's expression changed really quickly. "Have you arranged everything?" Bibi Don calmed herself down and glanced at Lu Yuan as she asked plainly. "Yes, I've arranged everything. The 4,000 elite soul masters will be split into 2 teams. Elder Long and Grandpa Golden Crocodile have already led one team to the Clear Sky sect 2 days ago. They will be on standby in secret. The other team, the Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo, have already set off yesterday. I think they should be in place by now. After midnight tonight, the 2 teams will attack at the same time and destroy the 2 sects in one fell swoop." Lu Yuan said softly, "That's more like it. But didn't you say you were going to lead the team? It's already so late, and you're still in the Pontiff's palace?" Bibi Don pointed at the sky outside. It was almost noon. If they didn't hurry over now, they wouldn't be able to make it in time. The Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect was quite far from here. "There's no hurry. Nah is here. When the time comes, I'll tear through space and arrive in an instant. I can even accompany you for dinner and have some fun before I go. It won't delay anything." Lu Yuan chuckled. "You're really lucky to be able to find such an outstanding girlfriend like Gu Yuna." Bibi Don glanced at Lu Yuan. "No, it's true that I was extremely lucky, but the luckiest thing was meeting you, meeting my Majesty the Empress." Lu Yuan chuckled. "You only know how to say nice things to coax people," Bibi Don muttered softly, but her eyes were full of smiles. "Another arrogant woman. No, she's an arrogant empress." Lu Yuan sighed inwardly at the sight of Bibidon's expression. The sun gradually set and the curtain of night fell. In the pavilion at the center of the lake, the candlelight flickered and several figures appeared. Dong Air, I'll be leaving first. Looking at Bibi Dong, who was particularly beautiful under the candlelight, Lu Yuan's heart skipped a beat, and he said faintly, "Go, come back when you're done. Don't mess around as soon as you go out." Bibi Dong got up and straightened out Lu Yuan's clothes. "Don't worry," Lu Yuan said with a smile as he patted Bibidon's hand. Turning around, Lu Yuan walked out of the pavilion with Gu Yuna at his side. Lu Yuan looked up at the pitch-black sky. It was supposed to be the night of the 15th, but the moonlight today was particularly dim. A large mass of dark clouds had obscured the moon. Even the heavens are helping us. The moon is dark and the wind is strong. It's the best time to kill someone. Lu Yuan chuckled and took Gu Yuna's hand in his. Gu Yuna waved her hand in the air, and a spatial crack immediately appeared. "Let's go," Lu Yuan chuckled. Looking at the spatial crack, the two of them walked straight in. "Is the Holy Sun not here yet?" The night was slightly chilly, and it was almost midnight. However, Lu Yuan was still nowhere to be seen. The Jew Douluo couldn't help but feel a little anxious. "What's the hurry? Master is never late. Just wait patiently." Ma Xiaodao crossed her arms in front of her chest. Her beautiful oval face didn't show any emotions at all. She had been very disappointed over the past few days because Lu Yuan was too strong now. He had already surpassed her, and he didn't need her protection anymore. She felt very useless. She didn't know how to create soul tools, nor did she know how to manage affairs. She probably wouldn't be able to help Master in the future. Chapter 863. When he was in a bad mood, the words that came out of his mouth were naturally harsh. "Brother Jew, you don't have to be anxious. Master has always done things in an orderly manner. He won't be late for something as important as a soul hunt. Master will be here soon. Brother Jew, you can relax." Jing Hongshan spoke softly. His words were much more artistic than Ma Xiaodao's. Ma Xiaodao was very straightforward, and she spoke whatever was on her mind. It was very difficult for her to hide anything. However, Jing Hongshan was different. He was an old fox, and he was very cunning. "Brother Hongshan, you're right. I was too anxious. The soul hunt is too important, and I was a little nervous." The Jew Douluo said, "Haha, I understand." Jing Hongshan chortled. "Why are you so happy? Tell me about it." Just as Jing Hongshan finished speaking, a clear voice rang out. A crack appeared in space, and Lu Yuan and Gu Yuna walked out from it, hand in hand. "Greetings, Master. Greetings, Holy Sun." When they saw Lu Yuan, they all greeted him. There's no need for such formalities. Lu Yuan scanned his surroundings. 2,000 elite soul masters were hidden in the dense forest. The Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect's territory was very big, and this dense forest was their territory. It was also very remote, and it was located behind the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect. Very few people came here. Furthermore, it wasn't far from the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect. If they were to ambush them, they wouldn't be able to react. It was a very good place to hide their troops. Lu Yuan discovered that the so-called three upper sects all had dense forest behind them. The seven treasures glazed sect aside, Long Xiaoyao and Golden Crocodile had led their troops to ambush the Clear Sky sect's back mountain. It had to be said that this was a little interesting. As he scanned the 2,000 elite soul masters, Lu Yuan revealed a satisfied smile on his face. These 2,000 soul masters were transferred from the Holy Dragon Army. They were well-trained, and their fighting strength was impressive. "It seems like you're almost done with your arrangements," Lu Yuan said with a smile. "Everything has been arranged. We're just waiting for Holy Sun to give the order before we launch an all-out attack." The Chrysanthemum Duo replied in a respectful manner. The current Lu Yuan was no longer the Lu Yuan of the past. He had fought to a draw with the 1,000 Streams, and had also taken over the matter of the Consecration Hall. The upper echelons of the Martial Spirit Palace had long known about it. Therefore, he didn't dare to treat Lu Yuan as casually as before. The hierarchy in the Martial Soul Palace was very strict. Lu Yuan would become the Pope sooner or later, and by then, he would be the one he would have to pledge his loyalty to. Therefore, there were some things that needed to be prepared in advance. Not bad. Thank you for your hard work, Lu Yuan said softly. We're doing all of this for the sake of the martial soul palace. We wouldn't dare to say that it's been hard on you, the Jew, Douluo replied. Lu Yuan's eyes flashed upon hearing this, and he patted Zhu Thuo on the shoulder as he said, Uncle Zhu, you've watched me grow up, so there's no need to be so formal with me. Your Highness, the chosen saint, etiquette cannot be ignored. Zhu Douluo was very touched, but he still insisted on maintaining his etiquette. Lu Yuan could ignore this, but he couldn't ignore it. So be it. Lu Yuan heaved a faint sigh and didn't force the issue. This was the loneliness of being in a position of power. In the past, Zhu Douluo had called him Obuchi and regarded him as his nephew. But now, he had become like this. He had become just like everyone else. Is there anything out of the ordinary with the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect? Lu Yuan asked in an indifferent voice. There's nothing out of the ordinary. They haven't discovered anything. Zhu Douluo replied. That's good. Since that's the case, let's wait. When the hour is over and they all fall into a deep sleep, we'll wipe them all out in one fell swoop. Lu Yuan clenched his fists and said with a hint of coldness in his voice. Cold winds blew past, and the temperature gradually dropped. The occasional insect cries in the dense forest also disappeared, and it was already the latter half of the night. All of a sudden, Lu Yuan's eyes narrowed slightly as he instructed, It's time to launch an all-out attack. Yes, Your Highness. Zhu Douluo and the others replied in unison before leading 2,000 elite soul masters toward the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect's encampment. This is destined to be a night filled with bloodshed. Lu Yuan clasped his hands behind his back as he slowly followed along. Outside the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect, a group of people were on duty. As one of the three upper sects, they naturally had their own patrol teams. However, the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect was extremely renowned, and they didn't believe that anyone would dare to provoke them. On top of that, it was already the latter half of the night, and they were at their most sleepy, so their defenses were extremely powerful. Splat! A sharp blade slit his throat, and blood splattered through the air. One of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect disciples on duty was killed on the spot. Behind him, a soul master from the Martial Soul Palace appeared before gently placing his corpse down without making a single sound. The same thing was taking place at the same time. One guard after another was being assassinated, and the entire Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect security system was almost completely uprooted. After taking care of these guards, 2,000 elite soul masters rushed into the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect in a frenzy, and the massacre began. Flames gradually began to appear, and murder and arson were being carried out at the same time. Blood-curdling screams and howls of anguish rang out one after another. The entire Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect had suffered heavy losses after being ambushed in their sleep. However, they gradually came to their senses and began to retaliate. However, it was already too late for them to do so. In the face of the Martial Soul Palace, who were already prepared for this, the casualties continued to mount. Chrysanthemum Pass, Gue Mei, you're all courting death. A loud roar rang out as an old man with white hair and a white beard pounced directly toward the Zhu Douluo, who was in the midst of a massacre. Bam! A resounding boom rang out as the Zhu Douluo stumbled back a few steps before killing one of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect disciples beside him with a smile on his face. You're too late, Yu Engine. The Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect is almost gone. The Zhu Douluo chuckled. They had slaughtered many people along the way. Big brother, we've already been surrounded by the Martial Soul Palace. Most of our direct disciples have been killed, and many of them have been killed. Yu Luomian's voice was tinged with a hint of anguish. They had been caught off guard by the Martial Soul Palace, and they had suffered heavy losses before they could even react. Furthermore, these people had set fire to the entire Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect, and many of the people who hadn't been able to escape in time had been burned to death. The rest of the warriors were gathering together, struggling to resist the martial spirit palace's attack. Yu Yuanjin's eyes immediately turned bloodshot upon hearing Yu Lumian's words. He threw his head back and howled with fury. His heart was bleeding from the heavy losses they had suffered. Martial Soul Palace, you all deserve to die. Yu Yuanjin was in a frenzy as he pounced toward the Douluo. Lightning flashed as the blue lightning tyrant dragon Martial Soul appeared, and Yu Yuanjin unleashed a violent barrage of attacks from the get-go. Chapter 864. Great! The chrysanthemum Douluo wasn't afraid at all. His singular velvet sky connecting chrysanthemum shone brightly as he charged forward. It's your turn. Gue Mei chuckled as he looked at Yu Lumian. A sinister aura immediately spread. Yu Lumian's expression changed when he heard Gue Douluo's words. He was only a soul Douluo. Tap, tap, tap. This was the sound of footsteps on a limestone floor. Lu Yuan stood outside the blue lightning tyrant dragon sex gate with his hands behind his back. His eyes were focused, and everywhere he looked, there was fire. The raging fire was exuding terrifying heat. When the fire was extinguished, the entire blue lightning tyrant dragon sect base would be reduced to rubble. Of course, the blue lightning tyrant dragon sect would no longer exist in this world. What a big fire! Gu Yina stood beside Lu Yuan. Her purple eyes flickered as she spoke softly. It's not just fire. There's also blood and cries of agony. Lu Yuan said, Actually, you don't want to kill, right? Gu Yina stared at Lu Yuan as she asked gently. I'm not a butcher. Why would I like to kill people for no reason? However, for the sake of the Martial Soul Hall's great cause, for the sake of the continent's unification, and for the sake of unifying the continent's strength to resist the Sun-Moon Empire and the Holy Ghost Church's invasion, these people must be killed. Lu Yuan's tone was indifferent, but he didn't hide the killing intent in his voice at all. Just as he had said, the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect was only slaughtered because they were in the way. If they didn't kill their enemies when they encountered them, were they supposed to keep them for the new year? Regardless of whether it was Lu Yuan, Bibi Don, or Chihiro Snow, they were all very decisive. They would naturally eliminate their enemies as soon as they encountered them. That's true, but you don't seem happy right now. Gu Yina said. Says who? I'm very happy. I wanted to destroy the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect for a long time. I'm very happy to see this. Lu Yuan retorted as he walked forward with his hands behind his back. You're so stubborn. Gu Yina grunted as she followed behind Lu Yuan. Chrysanthemum Pass, die. Yu Yuanjin seemed to have gone berserk as he unleashed a barrage of attacks, and the Chrysanthemum Douluo was struggling to keep up. Boom! Their palms clashed, and the Douluo was sent flying back over 10 meters. What a good old dragon. This attack power is really strong. Douluo's brows furrowed slightly upon hearing this. Even with his rank 96 powers, he was unable to oppose Yu Yuanjin in his current state. Was the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon really that powerful? Yu Yuanjin was one level lower than him. Let me help you, Yuguan. Gue Douluo tossed the half-dead Jade Luo crown aside. He was a rank 95 Transcendent Douluo, so how could a mere soul Douluo be a match for him? He then rushed toward the Jute Douluo and Yu Yuanjin's battlefield, and the two of them began to engage in a 2-on-1 battle. The Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo had been working together for many years, and they had developed a rapport with one another. However, Yu Yuanjin wasn't a simple person either. After seeing that even Jade Luo Crown had died, he became even crazier. He didn't care about his own life as he fought, and the Ju Douluo and Ghost Douluo were locked in a fierce battle. The sky was filled with flowers, lightning, and ghostly shadows. The three of them were fighting an earth-shattering battle. Under their attacks, the surrounding houses that had already been burned down were reduced to rubble. Everyone within 300 meters of their battlefield had been killed, and the remaining people didn't dare to come any closer. Interesting. This Yu Yuanjin is quite capable. A clear voice rang out as Lu Yuan walked over slowly. He had finally arrived at this battlefield. Watching the battle between the three of them, Lu Yuan could not help but be surprised. "Master!" A female voice rang out, and Ma Xiaotao appeared. She was dressed in red, and her tender face appeared exceptionally beautiful under the illumination of the flames. As a transcendent Douluo, she and Jing Hongshun had been killing soul sages and setting fires when Yu Yuanjin was being held back by the chrysanthemum Douluo and ghost Douluo. Over this period of time, she and Jing Hongshun had already killed all the high-tier soul masters in the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan, who were soul sages and above. Right now, there were only a few low-level soul masters left in the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan. They wouldn't attack these soul masters, and the elite soul masters from the Martial Soul Palace would take care of them. "Is everything done?" Lu Yuan asked. "Yes, it's all been dealt with. The high-grade soul masters have all been eradicated." Ma Xiaotao replied. "It's been hard on you, Sister Xiaotao," Lu Yuan said softly, and reached out to tuck a strand of hair behind her ear. "My lord." Seeing Lu Yuan's action, Ma Xiaotao's pretty face couldn't help but blush. "Call me brother. I've always treated you as an elder sister. Qiu'er is my younger sister, so you can be my elder sister from now on," Lu Yuan said gently. "This?" Ma Xiaotao was stunned when she heard Lu Yuan's words. "Are you unwilling?" Lu Yuan asked. I'm willing," Ma Xiaotao said hurriedly. Of course she was willing. She was just too happy and was stunned for a moment. "That's great. I'll have another family member in the future." Lu Yuan smiled. Ma Xiaotao had been by his side for a long time and had been protecting him since he was weak. Furthermore, she was different from Long Xiaoyao and the others, who were respectful and reverent. Ma Xiaotao had a bright personality, and they got along very well. He didn't lack subordinates. What he lacked were friends and family. After interacting with Ma Xiaotao for so long, he treated her like an elder sister in his heart. Furthermore, he had noticed the changes in Ma Xiaotao's mentality over the past few days. He was getting stronger and stronger and didn't need anyone to protect him anymore. Ma Xiaotao was probably disappointed because of this. That was why he suggested this today. He wanted to make Ma Xiaotao happier. "Congratulations, you have another elder sister." Gu Yuna's gaze swept across Ma Xiaotao's body, and her purple eyes carried a strange glow. She thought that Lu Yuan's old habits were acting up and that he was tempted again. She didn't expect him to acknowledge her as his elder sister. This fellow has such a beautiful woman by his side, but he doesn't have any bad intentions. Is this still the Lu Yuan that I know? Gu Yuna looked at Lu Yuan. She realized that this man liked beautiful women, but he didn't fall in love with every single one he saw. "Congratulations to you too. Now that I have another elder sister, doesn't that mean you have another elder sister too?" Lu Yuan said with a smile as he pinched Gu Yuna's beautiful face. "Become my elder sister?" Gu Yuna's mouth twitched. She was with Lu Yuan because of love. There was no age difference in love. However, to have another elder sister, this... Chapter 865. This made her feel a little strange. Ma Xiaotao was only in her early 30s. As for how old she was, she could only give a rough estimate. She couldn't remember her exact age. There was probably no one in the world who could be her older sister. Lu Yuan couldn't help but laugh at Gu Yuna's adorable expression. He had blurted it out, and only then did he realize that his girlfriend wasn't that young. She'd probably feel awkward calling Ma Xiaotao older sister. "All right, let's just call each other our own from now on." Lu Yuan smiled. Gu Yuna heaved a sigh of relief. "That's more like it." Lu Yuan pinched Gu Yuna's cheeks again, then withdrew his hand and looked at the battlefield in the distance. Yu Yuanjin was fighting with his life on the line, and he wasn't at a disadvantage against the chrysanthemum Douluo and ghost Douluo. As the battle continued, the three of them were already injured. Even if Yu Yuanjin died, the chrysanthemum Douluo and ghost Douluo would be seriously injured. No wonder Yu Yuanjin could take down a titled battle pet warrior of the Martial Soul Palace with him. When he went crazy, his strength was quite impressive. Interesting. This situation doesn't look good. The chrysanthemum Douluo and ghost Douluo won't be able to take down Yu Yuanjin. Lu Yuan's eyes flashed, and his voice rang out. "Ma's little brother, let me go. I promise I'll take down Yuanjin's head." Ma Xiaodao volunteered. She had the Fire Phoenix martial soul and 100,000-year soul ring. Taking down Yuanjin would be a piece of cake. "I'll go. My hands are itching anyway. Big sister, you and Na can just watch." Lu Yuan chuckled. "All right then. Be careful," Ma Xiaodao said. "It doesn't matter. To me, he's just a slightly bigger ant." Lu Yuan waved his hands and said nonchalantly, "Even the golden crocodile couldn't take more than a few hits from him. Yuanjin was nothing. Moreover, under the suppression of his bloodline, Yuanjin wouldn't even have the power to fight back. Elder Chrysanthemum, Elder Ghost, you two come back first. Let me do it." Lu Yuan spoke softly, his indifferent voice spreading out. Upon hearing Lu Yuan's voice, the Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo unleashed powerful attacks at the same time, sending Yuanjin flying as they silently retreated. "Moon Pass, where do you think you're going?" Seeing as the Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo were about to retreat from the battlefield, Yuanjin naturally wasn't going to give up just like that. Roar! A loud dragon roar resounded. A 10-meter-long, 5-clawed golden dragon flew across the sky and hit Yuanjin. Yuanjin's body was sent flying into the ruins. Lu Yuan glanced at the Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo and said, "You can leave now." Since the two of them had distanced themselves from him and only knew how to revere him, Lu Yuan did not force them. "If you want to be my subordinate, then so be it. All you have to do is listen to me in the future." Lu Yuan's mentality changed once again. "Yes, Your Highness." The Chrysanthemum Douluo and Ghost Douluo focused their gazes. They could sense that Lu Yuan's aura was becoming more and more powerful, and he was becoming more and more overbearing. They even felt that Lu Yuan's might had already surpassed that of Pope Bibidon. Hence, in the face of Lu Yuan's words, they subconsciously chose to obey. "Ah!" A roar sounded, and Yuanjin rushed out of the ruins. There was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth, which was clearly caused by Lu Yuan's casual palm strike. With Lu Yuan's current fighting prowess, a casual palm strike was extremely powerful. "Dragon form? You're really thorough." Lu Yuan smiled faintly as he looked at Yuanjin, who was covered in bluish-purple scales. The current Yuanjin was like a human-shaped Tyrannosaurus. Lu Yuan's 5-clawed Golden Dragon King martial soul naturally had dragon form, but Lu Yuan rarely used it. Although dragon form's enhancement was not bad, it was too ugly. It was different from Shun Jun's transformation into the 5-clawed Golden Dragon King. When he was in human form, dragon form's entire face was covered in dragon scales. Not only was it ugly, but it also made him look like a wild beast. With Lu Yuan's obsession with appearances, he rejected dragon form's ugly appearance. For example, Yuanjin in front of him was very ugly. "Kid, I'm going to kill you." "Kill." Yuanjin's aura surged, and his killing intent overflowed. In his berserk state, he was dominated by his bestial nature, and he only wanted to tear Lu Yuan to pieces. "You're courting death." Lu Yuan's tone was indifferent. He circulated his bloodline, and a boundless dragon's aura suddenly swept across the entire area. Enveloped by this monstrous dragon's aura, Yuanjin's entire body shook. Even the lightning on his body wilted, and his bloodline couldn't help but freeze. Dragon form's effect was instantly withdrawn. The blood-red color in his eyes gradually dissipated. Under this pressure, which made the depths of his bloodline tremble, he actually woke up from his madness. "Kneel!" Lu Yuan shouted. Golden blood energy spread out from his body, and a monstrous dragon's aura suddenly increased by a few degrees. Guyena frowned slightly. This pressure was so strong that it made her bloodline somewhat chaotic. With a thought, her vigorous divine power immediately suppressed the fluctuations of her bloodline. Even Guyena was affected, let alone Yuanjin. He simply had no power to resist, and with a plop, he knelt on the ground. Under the suppression of Lu Yuan's bloodline, A strong desire to crawl surged from the bottom of his heart. This was the subservience of a subordinate to a superior. "You, who are you?" Yu Yuanjin supported himself with both hands to prevent himself from falling. He struggled to raise his head, looked at Lu Yuan, and asked in a hoarse voice, "Why do you know so much when you're about to die?" Lu Yuan's gaze was indifferent. The bloodline in his body strengthened again. The terrifying pressure directly pressed Yu Yuanjin to the ground. No matter how hard he struggled, he couldn't get up. "The way you're lying on the ground is quite similar to your grandson, Yu Qianheng." Looking at Yu Yuanjin's appearance, Lu Yuan couldn't help but chuckle softly. "Qianheng," Yu Yuanjin muttered softly. Then, as if he suddenly remembered something, he said, "You're the Dragon King Palace Lord, Lu Yuan. Your Dragon King Palace is in cahoots with the Martial Soul Palace. Everyone in the world has been deceived by you." At this moment, Yu Yuanjin's mind suddenly became unusually nimble. He actually deduced everything. "You're right, but it's a pity that you found out too late. Rest in peace, Aunt." Lu Yuan smiled faintly. He raised his right hand and slapped down from the sky. Suddenly, there was a burst of dragon roars, and a dazzling golden light burst out. A huge golden dragon phantom of 100 meters long descended from the sky and pressed down on Yu Yuanjin. Suddenly, the earth shook and smoke billowed. With Yu Yuanjin as the center, a 200-meter radius around him was directly penetrated by Lu Yuan's palm. As for Yu Yuanjin, he couldn't be more dead. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.